Day 17 in the Lindsay Clancy trial. Testimony expected to kick off in the next 20 minutes or so. And today, the defense's biggest witness in terms of experience and stature, Dr. Philip Resnick, is expected to take the stand, and the defense case could rest as early as tomorrow.
Welcome to the global phenomenon, Surviving the Survivor. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning journalist, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. This is the global phenomenon, bringing you the very best guests in all of true crime, as well as the best trials. And this is one of the most fascinating trials in recent years. There is no debating that. This is the story of three young children. You've got Cora, Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan. They are at home in Duxbury, Massachusetts on the day of January 24th, 2023. That's when their mother, Lindsay Clancy, sends their father out to run a pair of errands. And while he is out for less than 1 hour, mother Lindsay Clancy takes 3 separate exercise bands and squeezes the life out of these 3 young children. It was Dawson first, then Cora, and then the infant baby in that order. And this is now a case that is polarizing a world, not just a country here in the United States. It seems almost down the middle, like half of the people believe that Lindsay Clancy belongs in a state prison, if not worse. But that would be the choice, state prison, or the other half say this woman was out of her mind. She is not criminally responsible, and she should stay at the psychiatric hospital that she is currently at, Tewksbury Psychiatric Hospital. And on the stand yesterday, a man named Dr. Paul Zeisel, taking up almost all the time, I believe it was all the time, on the witness stand outside of a voir dire of a TikTok expert, a so-called TikTok expert, who was denied by the judge. And I agree with that decision wholeheartedly. But it was Dr. Paul Zeisel, the forensic psychiatrist, treating Lindsay Clancy and also working as an expert witness for Kevin Reddington, the defense attorney, who said on the stand that she was in such a bad state of mind that she said she felt her brain was damaged. She felt her brain was damaged and that she would never get better. Things got so bad that she called a suicide hotline, not once, but twice. This is incredible to me. I was not aware of this. And this is, if there is any silver lining in this story, it is that people are finding out just unbelievable things. She was twice rejected by the suicide hotline because she, quote unquote, did not have a plan. I can't wrap my head around that. So in other words, you call 1-800-I-NEED-HELP right now. I made that number up. And they say to you, well, do you have a plan to carry this out? And if you don't say, I was going to bury myself in cement until it dried up, if you don't give them something tactile or tangible, they can say to you, you don't meet the standard here of care. And aren't you supposed to just talk to someone on one of these hotlines and sort of be talked down? What is going on? I mean, what if you're in such a state of mind that you can't even articulate the plan? What's going on in this country? This would not happen in a place like Amsterdam. I'm just throwing that out there. No way. He also, Dr. Zeisel, testified to the fact that there were reasons she was probably not giving more information, and that is because as a labor and delivery nurse, she knew that there was a chance that Black Widow, my friend, is in the chat. Finally, I've been worrying about this woman. What's up, Black Widow? Coming to us from the Republic of Ireland. Dr. Zeisel said, look, there were concerns she had. She was worried as a labor and delivery nurse. She knew some of the repercussions of coming forward about her mental illness at the time, or mental health, state of mental health at the time. And that is that she could have her children removed. She could even lose her nursing license. So there were reasons she was kind of keeping it tempered. And that's, again, why she couldn't get help. Diana's saying it would happen in England. That's interesting, and that's sad. Today, there are apparently Lindsay Clancy supporters. Let's take a quick look at that, COE. I see you bringing it up backstage. Today's a day where there's I forget the word, a standout. Is that what it is? A walkout, a standout, a something for Lindsay Clancy. And they're there. Looks like there are a lot of supporters. Oh, this channel is so one-sided. We're not one-sided. I'm showing you what's going outside the courtroom. Of all the emails I've got, I think just 2 of the probably 1,000 have said, I'm no longer watching you because you're pro-defense. I've never said I'm pro-defense. I've said from day one, I am absolutely conflicted. I don't know how to be any more transparent than that. I'm just absolutely conflicted over this case. And right now I'm leaning towards sending her to a psych hospital. I don't condone what she did. I'm not sitting here like some who are just like drooling over this defendant and propping her up. I'm not doing that. I just think that there was something fundamentally wrong with her at the time, and that she's just probably better off in a psychiatric hospital. Now, this happened on January 24th of 2023, and in early January of that month, Dr. Seisel says she was getting worse. She was starting to hear things, or, her mind was deteriorating. And she was Googling things like psychosis and can you treat sociopathy? Can you treat hallucinations? And again, Kevin Reddington taking a shot at a phrase that the Commonwealth used, which was a unicorn in the corner. And he said, is it true that you've got to see unicorns in the corner to be in a state of psychosis? And Dr. Seisel said absolutely not, because he's talking about the fact that the day this happened, earlier in the day, there was snow and she was building a snowman with 2 of her kids. He asked, could you Google a restaurant, because she was looking up takeout food? And Dr. Seisel said absolutely. Now, there are people who said they thought Dr. Seisel was an awful defense witness. Among them is the prosecutor's podcast. I think it depends on who you are, and the only thing that matters at the end of the day are the jurors. In all due respect to the prosecutor's podcast, and I don't think they would get upset with me for saying this. Doesn't matter what they think, because it matters what the jurors think here. And you've got 12 women and 6 men. Just 12 of them will actually be deliberating jurors. When the cross happened yesterday, there was a debate about qualified examiners, which is what they always do. I think that just rang absolutely hollow. There was some conversation that already in July of 2025, she had been tapered off a lot of her psychotropic medications, and she was much more stabilized at Tewksbury. That's where she has been this whole time. And the obvious implication is that, okay, if she gets sent to a psych hospital, they've already got her positioned to be stable and get out and get back into society. So, the Commonwealth was essentially saying, look what they're doing. They're already getting her off meds, and she's just going to be out. Don't do this. Make sure she pays for the crime. I thought it was a very good cross by the Commonwealth yesterday. I'll say that again for all the people hating on me. I thought the cross by the Commonwealth was very good. A lot of people taking really cheap shots at these 2 prosecutors who, I got to admit, I have a little trouble distinguishing between the 2 of them. But Um, it's Shannon Buckingham and Andrea Sprague, and I think they're doing a fine job. They're irritating people who don't like them, but this is going to be the case, and I irritate a lot of people who don't like me. And the more you don't like me, the more I'm going to irritate you, I guess. So I guess I'm sorry. I don't know. Saw a little bumper sticker that today, like this big on the back of a car, but I was right behind it. It said, "I'm hoping something nice happens to you today." And I said, wow, I wish more people in the world had these bumper stickers. I'm hoping something nice happens to you today. Is it that hard to change our mindsets to be that way? And I am just as guilty as everyone else. Because a lot of times I'm wishing death and destruction on people, and that's not good. It's not good. Not good at all. So maybe you could say I'm going to wish something nice on somebody today. What I thought the Commonwealth, the one point that is stayed with me and that I'm thinking about, and that has me on the fence, is that they made it very clear, and Dr. Paul Zeisel confirmed this. The only time we ever hear about this male voice that reportedly told her that she had to kill the children and then take her own life, the only time we ever learn of this is after the fact. It's never in a record. It's never in a report prior to January 24th of 2023. Do you find that interesting? Is that something that as a juror you would get hung up on? Is that something that you would get hung up on as a juror, knowing that the only time we learn of a quote unquote male voice, and she was reported to have these auditory hallucinations, was after the murders or killings happen? What do you think of that? I have that underscored in my notes. One of the other things that I thought was interesting, and I talked about this yesterday, the Commonwealth goes through Cora's birthday, Dawson's birthday, and Callan's birthday after the killings, when she's at the psych hospital. And on one occasion, on one of the birthdays, she's playing dominoes. And on another occasion, she's talking with her mom. It seems to be fine. Now, you can cherry pick for sure. Do we know all the circumstances of the day of these birthdays after the fact? I mean, do they say that would they tell us that she's hysterically crying in the corner for an hour before playing dominoes? No. Are they cherry picking and saying she's playing dominoes? But you saw a visible change on Lindsay Clancy's face. It was the first time I saw the first time that she took any notes. She was writing something to Kevin Reddington, and she was upset. You could see she was a little angry, and she was like, like shaking her head. And you see a different side of her. And that just makes me wonder, is there a different side of Lindsay Clancy? You just never know. Look at O.J. Simpson. I don't know why the hell I just thought of him. A lot of people don't know this. Prior to, Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman's murders, and prior to O.J. becoming one of the most vilified people in American history, he was one of the most beloved people. Guy was movie star good looks, one of the best NFL football players, did all the ads for Hertz. Was it Hertz or Avis? I think it was Hertz. He was in, I think, the Airplane movie. I mean, he was a movie star. He was an athlete. He was a commentator. The guy was universally loved. And then another side of him came out. Were we seeing a glimpse, my point is, into an other side of Lindsay Clancy? I'm not suggesting she's O.J. Simpson, but I am asking, did we see a glimpse into another side of Lindsay Clancy for a quick moment yesterday? I don't know. Postpartum for days here. What a name, screen name here for this story. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate Gia and TJ's mom. Hertz. It's my dad. He loves Avis because he loves the slogan "Try harder." Good morning, STS. Joining late, Joel. So baseball tryouts? They number all the kids. Thank you for asking. 1 through 40. Big Mac, J Mac, Judah Mac was number 16. At number 14, lightning fell from the sky and they had to call it. So his tryout has been moved to today, but I'm going to do a show today. So the COE is going to take him, and hopefully she will capture it on video. This guy's pitch fast in coach pitch. It's called coach pitch because the coach pitches, and this guy was pitching fast. I would probably whiff. I was never a good baseball hitter. Hitting a baseball is one of the hardest things to do in all of sports. Just the amount of eye contact and technique. It's a weird thing. Some morons 200 years ago, 150 years ago were like, let's throw a white ball and you hold this stick and swing and we'll make a game. But hitting a round ball off of a round piece of wood is very difficult. My dad, growing up in the Bronx in the 1930s and 40s, they used to play stickball. That's when America was America. It's when Americana was Americana. That's when there was innocence in this world. My dad used to tell me all the time that my dad was an excellent pitcher at Camp Mohican. That's as far as he made it, my dad, Camp Mohican. But he was a phenomenal pitcher, according to him. And they played stickball in the streets of Bronx, New York, off the Grand Concourse. I still don't even know what the hell that means, off the Grand Concourse. Has anyone noticed Lindsay has gone from hiding with her hair during the CW and now very with it? She does seem much more present. I will give you that, Lisa Marie Pritchard. I will give you that. We are 14 minutes late. Court every day is supposed to start at 9. By the way, the famed Tallahassee criminal defense attorney R. Timothy Jansen, R and OUR, and a former federal prosecutor, said, hey, look at Space Coast. Take the blinders off. Wasn't any better then. They had the Great Depression and World Wars. That's true. This is coming from a guy who thought that Paul Newman was Orville Redenbacher. You didn't know Paul Newman had 40-pack abs and crystal clear blue eyes and was a famous Hollywood actor? You thought the guy made popcorn his whole life and salad dressing? I sent him the link last night, COE. We do, this show, the COE and I had a conversation yesterday. It's like a fourth baby or a fourth puppy, if you will. We really treat it with a lot of love and care, and we work on it. And because of it, I'm typically ignored at night because the COE is always doing something, and just completely, it's like I'm not even there. And the only reason I can deal with it is because she's working on this, on our show. And so while I sit there staring at a TV, exhausted after a long day of trial coverage, the only reason I can tolerate my wife looking at me as though I am a transparent piece of saran wrap, essentially nothing, it's because she's working on the show. She's not completely ignoring me. She's working on the show, so I let her get away with it. I started watching super randomly. It's been around forever, but started watching Goliath last night with, I give free shout outs to these shows that should be paying us for these promotions, but Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton. Has anyone seen that? I think it's on Prime. Who knew? 4 seasons, but it's got a Bosch-esque feel to it, and I liked it. And then the COE was like, can we watch one more episode? And I'm like, no, we got the trial tomorrow. Look at this. It's a great show. Look at that, COE. It's a great show. Goliath is amazing. Look at this from Christine King. Who knew? I didn't know anything about it. Billy Bob is like What is it about Billy Bob Thornton? I feel like that guy can get any woman in the world at any time, and he's like looks like he's about 5'2" and 98 pounds. His shoulders are about as broad as a smart water bottle, which I'm looking at right now. I don't know if it's the gift of gab, the southern accent. He's from Arkansas originally. I don't know if it's the tattoos. I'm not sure what it is about Billy Bob Thornton. Maybe it's something we don't know about, but only women know about, if you get what I'm saying. But even in the movies, he seems to hook these women or shows. He seems to look. I love Billy Bob. What, Rachel? What is it about Billy Bob? Look at this. I love Billy Bob. Billy Bob's a little off, but he's funny. This guy. I feel like this guy in a room with him, Brad Pitt, and George Clooney, and Paul Newman. I feel like Billy Bob is getting 97% of the women. What is it? What's the secret? What is the secret? Love Goliath, amazing show. There you go. I just randomly picked it out. That's another thing. You ever go through, we're waiting, by the way, for day 17 of testimony. I've already gone off the rails. This is the only part of the day where I have the energy to do this. Well, not completely true because I probably do it. You ever go to your 47 streaming channels that you pay for independently and you don't even know that you have, and you probably double paying subscriptions on 3 of them, which I know I'm doing? Can't someone invent an app or something? Can't someone invent like the one stop that has all the streaming and you just pay that person and then you get all the streaming things and then you know what you're paying for and what you're not paying for? But you ever go and look through 784,000 titles and realize there's nothing to watch? Have you been there? I won't even, if you guys want to see what Soloton is saying, can't even, I would blush if I brought this comment up, but it has to do, how do I say this? Soloton is speaking of Billy Bob. I can't say it, but that's why they say he's getting all the win. Love you, Joel. My brother-in-law is exactly like you. I'm not sure what that means, but appreciate it. Say hi to your brother-in-law. He's great in Landman. Landman's supposed to be really good too. Billy Bob, super hot. Karma Pants says it's his confidence. Jasmine says Billy Bob is so good looking. Now this is where I think people are delusional. Is Billy Bob good looking? I wouldn't look at him. Like, I wouldn't be at a bar. See how he knows this. I'm very, by the way, at baseball tryouts yesterday, it's like, it's Miami, right? And it's Fields Forever, but they have like, like in a park, they've got a thing that you can do like pull-ups on or whatever, like just a crappy little metal area in a public park. I see the absolutely most shredded dude I've ever seen in my life. I mean, this guy was like, muscles were coming out of his muscles, coming out of his, not big, like lean, athletic, like Soloflex, man. Remember Soloflex? Like that. What does he have? He has like 2 5-pound weights, and he's just doing like leg lifts and stuff. And it occurred to me, like, you hear like, you need a gym, you need this, you need, steroids. This guy is literally here comes the trial right now. So she's got the shaky camera. This guy is at the gym, not at a gym, at a bar, whatever the hell you call, at the park, shredded off of just doing basic exercises. I don't know why there's no audio. It'll come up. Space Coast will be honest. Let's listen in. Day 17 of testimony here. Where's the audio? Goodness. It's the first time we've gotten a pan of the whole gallery. It is crowded in there today. I think it must be. I was gonna say it's the pool camera. That's why we're not hearing audio. And right back to the seal. And right back to the seal. Now, the other thing yesterday, by the way, we came back from lunch, there was a break, and then they said, "Okay, you're being dismissed." Um, I did speak to Josh Ritter. Shout out to Josh, host of Courtroom Confidential. He was at court yesterday. He thinks, and I agree with him, that it's nothing serious. It was probably a witness testimony issue that one of the witnesses probably had trouble getting to court, and that's why they adjourned. And today we're supposed to get this guy, Dr. Philip Resnick. He is a forensic psychiatrist, globally known, like Surviving the Survivor. He too is a global phenomenon. Dr. Philip Resnick, the global phenomenon, is going to be on this global phenomenon as an expert witness for the defense. He is world renowned for malingering and also for maternity mental health issues. So he's like a double, triple expert. Marielle, meanwhile, says Billy Bob has like a Mick Jagger look. It's a thing. I'll tell you what he's got. He's got buck teeth. He's about the size of a quarter, but he's just cool. He's got weirdly spaced tattoos, but he's cool. Like if you put Billy Bob into 5th grade, kids are probably making fun of him. He's like the smallest kid. He's got buck teeth. He's got glasses. And you're like, this guy's going to grow up and be, I don't know, an auto mechanic. And then the guy grows up and becomes one of Hollywood's biggest stars. He wrote, was it Sling Blade? He won an Oscar for that, and that was it. The guy's talented, though. And when he's acting, he's got great command. I was prescribed Seroquel once and saw the Smurfs walking around my room. There you go. A lot of people have said this. Thank you for sharing that. A lot of people, this is a drug that Lindsay Clancy was on, and you just saw Kelly said she was seeing blue Smurfs. Back to Billy Bob. We go back and forth here, which is why a lot of people don't come to this channel. Some people do. Billy Bob, I really just do this during trial coverage. People know I'm not quite this unhinged when we're just doing a regular show. By the way, we're doing a wrap-up show today, 5 o'clock Eastern time. Tim Jansen said he would join, so he's on the Cape. He'll come bounce in here when he can. I think it's the bad boy vibe that makes him attractive. I always wanted to be a bad boy. I could never pull it off. Never too late. And if I did become a bad boy, the first thing I'm doing, I talked about this yesterday, I would get not of any of my children or any of my 3 dogs or my wife, but I would get Mabel Rose's portrait, my puggle of 17 years. I get that as a neck plate on my neck. Carm would lose her mind. Bella Believer is here. Billy Bob has swagger. There you go. Billy Bob has swagger. And look, like the COE has a little crush on who's a guy from Mad Men? John Hamm. John Unkosher Hamm. Now, is he a good-looking guy? Look, I'm one of these guys that can objectively say, yeah, he's a pretty good-looking guy. He just kind of looks dumb to me, and I don't mean that to be mean. He just doesn't look that interesting to me, John Hamm. Doesn't look that interesting. Like if a woman sees John Hamm at a bar, she's like, yeah, he's good-looking. His hair is greased back. He was in Mad Men. But he doesn't look like he offers a lot. AR Wyoming here. I know a lot of women are going to disagree with me. Super sticker from AR Wyoming. Thank you, AR. You're unbelievably generous. I appreciate it. I got yelled at for not thanking people who give us stuff. So if I do that and I forget to thank you, there you go. Yo, Viv Babe, another super chat. Thank you so much. Look at this. Billy Bob on Wikipedia is 5'10". Zero chance that dude is 5'10". Zero chance. Billy Bob gets better as he gets older. Now, Billy Bob, you see that guy in a bar, you're a woman. He seems like he's going to have stories for days, right? He seems like he's going to have stories for days, and he's an interesting guy. The COE's crush with this John Hamm. Yeah, he's good looking. COE. Now, look, the COE is also one of her biggest crushes. Is not me, surprisingly, but it is Adam Sandler. Now, the COE, she blushes when you say Adam Sandler's name. Blushes. Now, Adam Sandler, look at him. Put him in high school. He just looks like a nerdy Jewish guy. I mean, he sings good. I went to see him do stand-up with the COE. I couldn't even believe that people would pay to see what I watch. It's just him playing guitar and making up insane lyrics. But he's funny, and he makes you laugh. He does stupid things, and he makes you laugh. So I get, like, the Adam Sandler thing because he's funny, and he wears insane clothes. I mean, he's cool. Like, he's basically trolling society. I mean, he shows up to, like, movie premieres wearing mismatched Hawaiian shirts and shorts. You're like, this guy's a lunatic. The fact that he's worth, like, $800 million probably doesn't hurt. There you go. Jake Gyllenhaal, my free pass. Now, he's another one. Very good-looking guy. I'd kill for his abs. Obviously a handsome fellow with a square jaw. He might be moderately interesting, but I mean, the guy grew up in Hollywood. Like, how interesting could he be? Not that interesting. Billy Bob, he's interesting. Billy Bob's the kind of guy, like, you're at a bar with him and somehow a snake gets into the bar through a vent and he is just ripping the snake off the wall, grabbing it by the neck and not even killing it, but taking it outside. And he's doing it all before you even realize what happened. And you're like, Billy Bob, what just happened? You're like, oh, a snake got through the vent. And I took it outside. Back in Arkansas, we had these snakes. They come through the vents. And so just something I know how to do. You never done that to a python before? And you're like, oh, man, this guy just handled a python coming through a vent of the bar that we're at. And now you're like, whoa, he's like a real man. He's not only is he interesting, but the guy can rip a python off a bar wall and he doesn't even kill it. He takes it outside. That's Billy Bob. That's the difference between Billy Bob and John Hamm. John Hamm would be screaming louder than me. All right, I got to rein myself in here. So it is 9:30. I mean, it's hard for me. What do you want me to talk about? There's never court here. We're never in trial. There's never a trial. There's always a break. So it's like I got to talk about something. Hennessy here. John Hamm. Oh, yes, she says. Oh, yes. I would love to be in the mind of women. Like, if that could be my superpower, I would love to be able to wonder what women really think. That would be like, if I could choose a superpower, that would be it. To know the female mind. I don't want to be in the female mind. I just want to know the female mind. Yeah, Adam Sandler. People are questioning this about the COE. But look at this. A girl and her cats. I'm sorry, Joel, but John Hamm is gorgeous. He's a good-looking guy. I don't know. John Hamm might be interesting. I don't know. Anyone who's been through stuff is interesting to me. I think he was like a heavy alcoholic at one point, so maybe he's got some interesting stories, having overcome that at some point. I think I read that. Sherry's with you. Loving Adam Sandler. John, I saw. I won't even go there because I'll get hate. But let's put it this way. I just saw a photo of John Hamm and his wife. She's not what I expected. Let's just put it that way. She's not what I expected. Court started at 9:30, just 9 something. It was supposed to start at 9 is my point. They went to the gallery. They showed us the gallery, which is packed, and it is now 9:32, and court has not started yet, which is why I'm talking about Billy Bob Thornton. I never even heard of this person. Meow Randa is, I think there's a generational gap here. Has anyone heard of Oscar Isaac? The minute I hear this, I'm thinking of the bartender from The Love Boat. Oscar Isaac. Never heard of Oscar Isaac. No idea who Oscar Isaac is. Zero idea who Oscar. Billy Bob is 5'10". It's hard for me to believe. He had some serious health conditions, so he's been a vegan for 40 years in Hollywood, which is probably why he weighs he's 5'10", 101. Look at this. Emmy Nikolov I don't know that I would publicly announce this Emmy, but I get it. Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. Wouldn't be my first choice. Billy Bob is real and not fake. See that? Got a whole conversation here instead of. By the way, this guy Taylor Sheridan, because I saw someone say something about Yellowstone right up here. Cole Hauser from Yellowstone. I don't know who that is, but this guy Taylor Sheridan has Yellowstone, Landman. I think he did. He's got Lioness, which is not. How do you physically write 10 shows simultaneously and go from literally never and no one has never known this guy's name, never heard of this guy, and suddenly there's Yellowstone and 500 shows that come right after it, and now this guy's a billionaire. I mean, it's crazy. Where did this guy come from? He's like a failed actor. He's a good-looking guy, and he's a failed actor. It's 11:30 in Australia. We are nearly the future. Here we go. Other women, Matthew McConaughey, Johnny Depp. There you go. There's some others. Mike is a pug. Mike is handsome. I think Mike's, to be honest, I think Fred. I mean, to me, I told you I tear up when I look at a photo of my pug Fred. He's more handsome than any of these actors combined. Here we go. Back to something relevant. Meredith Fiore. I was disappointed by Dr. Zeisel's testimony. It sounded like one isolated command hallucination when Lindsay's paranoia and delusional thinking suggests a continuum. That this is what I was getting at. We never heard this voice concern till after the killings on January 24, 2023. And it does sound almost like it was a single voice hallucination, and it was right at that time that prompted her to do that. And I guess we're going to hear from some experts, this guy Philip Resnick today, can that happen or can it not happen? And if he says, yeah, you can just have one auditory hallucination and that's it, then people will have to decide if this expert, Philip Resnick, is on point or not. But those are the two things. The fact that the quote unquote auditory hallucination only surfaces after the killings, that raises concern for me. And also, just that weird change in demeanor when she was upset about the Commonwealth going after her on the anniversary of her children's birthdays. You saw a total change in behavior. So both of those things were sort of red flags for me. I don't know how it's going to impact my vote in the deliberation room if I'm a juror, but we're going to see. We are, that's what I sort of feel like, not babysit, but I've got to got to talk to you guys. Jill Griffin, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Let me look through my notes. But so court, by the way, ended very early yesterday. They came back from lunch, which they always do late, and they did it late yesterday. Nikki Cudds this Idris Elba, he's a cool dude. There was talk about him becoming the next James Bond. Love that guy. Phenomenal actor. Good looking, and he seems like he'd be an interesting dude. Plus, he's got the British accent, and I mean, that's just a no-brainer. You're an American and you hear a British accent, you just assume that they're smarter than you, right? I mean, I do. Whenever I hear someone with a British accent, I'm like, oh, they're smarter and more sophisticated. And when it's Idris Elba, you're like, oh, that's cool. Like that dude in a tux in a room and like a ballroom, like that guy is going to command. That guy's got an aura. He's a movie star, but even if he's not a movie star, guy walks into like a black tie event, heads are turning for that dude. He's cool. He's cool. I walk into a black tie event and a tuxedo and I'm like trying to like suck my belly in, that's what I'm doing. Losing oxygen, getting dizzy. It's exhausting. You ever try to do that? It's exhausting. Lenny Kravitz. I don't know, something about Lenny Kravitz that irritates the crap out of me. I can't put my finger on it. It's almost like he's trying too hard, but I guess if you're really cool and you're like a musician, that's part of it. We expecting closings today. My friend James Fagan outside of Philadelphia. No. From what I understand, and I talked to Josh Ritter, the defense is going to likely rest as soon as today is what they're saying. I do not see how that could happen if they really have these two big expert witnesses. And already they've spent half the day doing nothing. I mean, it's 9:40 here. Like, what's up with this judge? Like, maybe judges need to be reined in. Like, when you're a judge, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. It's like you own the courtroom. But maybe there needs to be like judge boss that bosses the judges, right? And tells them, look, you can't waste this much time. But I doubt closings are going to be this week. So Kevin Reddington said he could rest as early as today, but there's got to be cross on this. And the Commonwealth said that they are bringing a rebuttal case with witnesses. Josh Ritter, who was there, told me he thinks that closings are going to be on Monday. I still don't see how that's possible. Also, I have brought this up, I think the last couple of days, and I talked about this with Josh, and Josh agreed with me, which was kind of hard to believe. But I feel like this is going to be a very lengthy deliberation potentially, although people just don't have patience. Like I think it's like we live in that instant generation. So I don't know how much they'll deliberate, but I feel like if there's any trial where jurors are going to be stuck and have to deliberate through things for a long time, it would be this trial. I mean, but what do you guys think? Do you think deliberations are going to be long? But the bottom line here is, Ritter said he thinks closings are going to be Monday. I wouldn't be surprised if they were Tuesday or Wednesday because there's going to be a rebuttal. And it sounded like there was going to be a bunch of witnesses. Will Patrick be called back to the stand? I don't know. Also, someone asked Kevin Reddington, is your client going to testify? And it was an interesting answer. Said he doesn't know yet. I thought that was interesting. It was not an emphatic no. Said, I don't know yet. So there you go. According to Christy Gibson, Reddington says he has a witness tomorrow. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm going to lose my mind if this judge comes back right now and says, you guys are excused for the day. I mean, at this point, they should fly this guy, Philip Resnick, private. Get him out here. Where is he? We're expecting him and Dr. Margaret Spinelli, and I don't know of anyone else except maybe. I mean, there was talk that Patrick was going to be a defense witness, but that hasn't seemed to evolve into anything. So, um, I don't know. Someone's asking about the age of the jurors, and I did see a statistic on that. And I think they're generally younger, like in their 40s, except for a couple. I could be wrong about that. I read the statistics at one point. Um, oh, look at this. Someone on X said a juror is at sidebar. Let me just see um what I can find here. Um, let me see what I can find here. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything right now. Um, they are featuring these supporters who are, and by the way, I mean, what do you think of this? That there are all these supporters, and the vast majority of these supporters outside the courthouse today are women. Also, what does this do with the jurors? I mean, the jurors. What do you? I mean, we saw this in the Karen Reed trial. I don't even like to say the name because that trial drives me insane. Um, but there are. I'm looking at the video here. There are a lot of predominantly women who are in a show of force. It's interesting. I don't know if these people are watching STS, but they're carrying flags from around the world. Did you notice that? The women who are supporting Lindsay Clancy have flags from all over the world, as though they are from the global phenomenon known as Surviving the Survivor. But there's a lot. I mean, I would say there's hundreds, and it is almost all women. Almost all women. What do you think of women going to the courthouse? I mean, this could also, I mean, jurors are human beings. They drive to court, they get in there, and you see all these women. Uh, see some strange things on X. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what's going up. Multiple jurors have been called up to sidebar, sworn in, the whole 9 yards. There's definitely a jury issue going on. Now, I wonder if it has to do with the demonstrators outside. Are they asking, did you see these demonstrators? Are they impacting you? I think maybe the judge has to ask about that. I would think that he would do it collectively. This does not sound good, though, right? This doesn't sound good. If he is swearing in jurors. And look, I don't think there's any debating this here from I Need a Margarita right now. The victims here, make no mistake, it is not Lindsay Clancy. She is not a victim here. It is Cora, Dawson, and Callan. I would consider Patrick a victim. I would consider the grandmothers who were asked about mortal sins and Catholicism. I would consider them victims. I would consider the grandfathers victims. But the real victims here, Cora, Dawson, and Callan, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, these women are dressed in pink in solidarity with Lindsay. So this doesn't sound good. This does not sound good. Let me do that. Let me text my friend Lauren Conlon here, who is there, and see what's happening. She's probably too busy, but and Josh Ritter is not there anymore, by the way. He's back in New York City. I just texted Lauren. Let me see. She's I love Lauren. I really love Lauren. But she's probably a little more insane than I am. She's just always running around. And oh, here she is. She's texting me back right as I'm bad mouthing Lauren in a good way. I love Lauren. She said the same thing. Jurors being sworn in. Look at the drama. Texting live on Surviving the Survivor, trying to get information. If you're just tuning in, court was set to start at 9 a.m. It is now 9:47 a.m. on the eastern seaboard of the United States of America. I'm coming to you live from Miami Beach, and the trial is coming to you from Plymouth, Massachusetts, same time zone. So we see a camera move around 9:20 this morning. We think we're going to get audio. There is no audio. They pan across. You see a packed gallery. There are protesters or supporters, I should say, of Lindsay Clancy outside. And I'm talking at least a couple of hundred, it looks like. And then court never begins. We don't even hear the judge saying we're going to sidebar, right? We never heard from the judge this morning. And now it is 9:48 a.m., and we're getting reports from people on the ground, a.k.a. Lauren Conlon. They're at the bench being sworn in one by one. According to Lauren Conlon of LA Mag, they're being sworn in, the jurors one by one. She says she cannot hear because of where she's at, but she can see the arm going up to be sworn in. This does not sound good. I don't know why, but what do you all think? Why would Meow Randa, you sent a super chat? Thank you. I appreciate it. The COE will find it. Thank you. Is there ever a good reason for jurors to be sworn in on day 17 of testimony? I don't know. Let me see. Let me go. Texting with Tim Jansen right now. Just bear with me. I apologize for some of the silence here. I just asked Tim if he wants to hop on right now. He has the invite to come in. He and I were talking last night. Just trying to figure out, again, if you're just joining us, we saw court is always supposed to start at 9. It never does. At 9:20, we started to see the camera pan over. As far as I know, the judge never said a word because there was no audio. And then we went back to the seal, and then we're getting word from inside the courtroom that they are swearing in the jurors one by one. Now, this is when people who are there, it would be great to hear from them, but a lot of people are just, I guess, too busy covering it that they're not reporting about it, which would be nice if they were. I'm just trying to get the latest information here as to why we are now. A lot of these women, just to give you the supporters for Lindsay Clancy, a lot of them have brought their young children as a show of support, and they are doing the like the heart symbol, whatever that is. You know what I'm talking about. They're doing that. So there's a lot of women there. Certainly way more protesters, I think, than I recall seeing at that other trial. Someone was referring to it as a sea of pink. No one is saying why there is a long delay right now. Is it much ado about nothing, or is there something really going on right now? Um, and it seems to be a dearth of information, not a whole lot of information. I wonder if they're worried about jury nullification, and that could, if you don't know it from these supporters, maybe there is concern about jury nullification, that they're now like seeing this, and it is creating some sort of confirmation-esque bias. I've never been to the Plymouth criminal courthouse. It'd be great. Tim, where the hell are you? Let me try to get Tim on. Tim was there. Tim knows the layout. Okay, Tim has a 10 a.m. call, and then he's saying he's hopping on. This is what Tim Jansen, former federal prosecutor, current criminal defense attorney, says. There must have been a juror issue, and they're individually asking about the specific issue using a line of questioning under oath. Under oath. So he thinks there is a juror issue. Will they strike that juror on day 17? I mean, they can. The judge can do anything, including starting late and taking a gazillion breaks. Anita Margarita, it's time to sequester the jurors if it's not too late. They just don't seem to ever sequester anymore. Again, Tim has a 10 a.m. call. It's now 9:54. No wonder I was talking about Billy Bob Thornton, John Hamm, and Adam Sandler, because looks like we're getting some movement. This cameraman gives you a little indication. Here we go. Let's see if we get the audio.
We're going to be in a short recess, and we're going to bring the jury back in, and we'll call the next witness. Okay?
Good. All right.
Right back to normal. Nothing said other than we're bringing the next witness. As far as we know, nothing ever happened. Lindsay looking much more with it there. Again, interesting point. Jury is coming in. Odd start to the day. This has been a strange trial in many ways. I'm at the bottom. While we're waiting, I missed the earlier ones if you left them. But what do you think of this support, the show of support for Lindsay? And the women are bringing their infants and children. It looks like there's hundreds of them all wearing pink. Your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. I'll read some of them. And please do this, by the way. Please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps us. It does. Everything on YouTube, unfortunately, is an algorithm, and the algorithm can only read likes and subscribes. So please do that. It helps us a lot. We've got for the STS. It's so funny. People call them fans. I will never call people that watch STS fans because I feel like it's a ridiculous word. But if you like the show and you want more, then we've got a Patreon page too. Tucker, Lindsay supporters are weirdos. Lantern, liking, thank you. Appreciate that. Come on, everybody. Now we've got almost 11,000 watching. Hit the likes, please. Please, please, please. Remember that bumper sticker I told you about this morning? I hope something nice happens to you today, was the bumper sticker. How beautiful is that? Look at this. I Heart Grunge. I love the solidarity and hope Lindsay knows they're there for her. I'm sure she does. I'm sure her attorney has at least told her. My question is, my big concern is, how does it influence the jurors? And if you remember from the Karen Reed trial, they said in a question and poll afterwards, correct me if I'm wrong, but those jurors said they could hear supporters from outside the courtroom. They could physically hear when they were in jury deliberations. They could hear the supporters. CVM says these are evil women, the supporters advocating for killing innocent children. I mean, I'm not sure what this means. Joel, super chats, question mark. We have super chats, and we love super chats because it helps the channel. So one thing I don't think you can do is obviously ignore the victims. You cannot ignore Cora, Dawson, and Callan, and they are the ultimate victims. And even if you support Lindsay Clancy, it's like you can't support them at the cost of forgetting the victims. Can't make it seem like she's like, the woman who deserves zero scorn. At the end of the day, whether she's hearing voice or not, she is admittedly responsible for the death of her three children. So that always has to be associated with her. You can't be like, I completely support her and she's the greatest woman in the history of the world. The greatest woman in the history of the world never killed her own three children. So it's always going to be an asterisk. In Jersey, I say asterisk, but it's really an asterisk. In Jersey, I say asterisk. No one's ever stopped me. No one's ever stopped me now. I just am admitting that I say asterisk and not asterisk. The point is, she killed her three kids, and you can't just sit there and pretend that she didn't kill her three kids. Even if you feel she should go to a psych hospital, it is always going to be attached to her and should be attached to her. You can't go to this. This is what it's called. It's a stand. I have no idea who organized. And now there'll be people saying, well, it was the lawyer who did it. And I can tell you it's not. I'd be shocked if it was Kevin Reddington. I don't think it is. I don't think he would do it. I don't think he has the time to do it. Lindsay is not innocent, says Tucker. And he's been tough on her the whole way through. And I have no problem with this. She could have called 911. She could have. I mean, she had the wherewithal to be on a call to CVS. I mean, yeah. I just don't think that anyone can sit here and be a Lindsay supporter without also saying, but yes, she killed her three children. You can't forget that part of the equation. You can say it's tragic, you can say it's awful, but you can't ignore the fact that it happened. And then if you do ignore the fact, you're just in denial. Not going to name names, but there's some people covering this who seem to have forgotten that a little bit. Now the COE is getting nervous, but I'm so vague that no one knows. I just said Lindsay is not the victim. I said the kids are the victim. I said Patrick is a victim. I said the grandmothers are victims. The grandfathers are victims. Society are victims. But Lindsay is not a victim. She is the one that caused their deaths. Admittedly, she is not the victim. She killed those kids. But you can believe or understand that she killed those kids and think she belongs in a psychiatric hospital. What I was saying is you can't exclude the fact. You cannot exclude the kids. They are forever attached to her because she's, number one, the mother, but number two, more sadly, she's the one that killed them. And I'm talking about it in regard to these supporters. The supporters cannot be out there frolicking in the front of the courthouse saying, "We love you, Lindsay. We support you, Lindsay," without also saying the words, "And you killed your children," because she did, and admits to killing her children. So 100%, I'm not saying that Lindsay is the victim. She is not the victim. And I'm with Georgie on this. Is Georgie the boxer? That's a handsome looking boxer. Boxers have like velvety fur. Joel, I've watched the whole case and I would hate to be a juror because I am so torn. This is a very, 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 very difficult case. The longer this drags out, I mean, it's entering into a little bit of circus territory right now with the supporters. What's going on in the Commonwealth with these pink supporters, by the way? I don't remember. Is this happening in other states recently? If it is, I stand corrected. Now, listen, I could see this argument, Melissa Navone. I could see this argument that she's within that particular area, that she did not get proper treatment, maybe, or the mental health professionals dropped the ball, and maybe she is a victim in that world, but she's not a victim as it relates to her children, I don't think. Stacy Dillard, not thrilled with what I'm saying. Any relation, sorry, Stacy, to the department store, Dillard's? What's the holdup now? Let me try to clarify. Here's another one. Lindsay's a victim of the medical system. What I am saying is you cannot say Lindsay's name without realizing she killed those 3 kids. And they are the immediate ultimate victims because they are no longer with us. And that's why there's a trial to try to get justice for those kids. In other words, it's like an equation, 2 sides of an equation. You can have sympathy or empathy, I think, for Lindsay Clancy, but the other side of the equation, the equal sign, is that you have to acknowledge that she killed her 3 kids. They are each attached to the other, is what I am saying. What is the delay about now? Zero idea. This is day 17, and just to catch everyone up, yesterday we had Dr. Paul Zeisel, a forensic psychologist. Today we're supposed to have Dr. Philip Resnick, a forensic psychiatrist whose real expertise is in malingering. Let me just check to see if I've heard. Tim Jansen said whatever was going on with the jurors is fairly serious. He just texted me back. Lauren Conlon is saying we're going to find out. By the way, Lauren may come on the show today. She's got a commitment at 4:45, and we're doing the show at 5. So after that, we might see something. My man, Court Dog Daniel, is inside. So I just reached out to him. Lauren Conlon is texting me back right now. Now there's another long delay. Something about this doesn't feel good. If you're just joining us, court is supposed to start at 9. It never does. Look at this. We've got Tim is logging in here. So once we get Tim established, I will speak with him and see what his thoughts are. But so court never starts at 9. it typically starts around 10 after. Today, we got a camera shot from the pool camera around 9:20, and we saw a pan over the gallery. However, there was no audio. It's all controlled by the pool camera. Typically, we hear from the judge. We didn't. And then we went back to the seal. And then just a few minutes ago, the judge said, okay, next witness. And then immediately pan back over to the seal. And in the interim, two things are going on. There is a quote unquote standout, I think is the phrase. Protesters in pink, hundreds of them outside, many with children, in support of Lindsay Clancy. They are outside of the courthouse. That's number one. And number two, inside the courthouse, apparently the judge was questioning each juror one by one, swearing them in. In other words, under oath. I can see Tim trying to log in. Once again, since we have the time, please hit the like and subscribe button. It looks like we're coming back because this pool camera guy always gives us a little camera twitch that you're seeing right now. A little twitch of the camera, typically. Why can't I get Tim on here? Where is he? What's going on here? Hey, Tim, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, there you are. So Tim, very odd day. It is. Thank you for joining us, by the way. This is Tim Jansen, criminal defense attorney out of Tallahassee, former federal prosecutor. So court was supposed to start at 10. Around 10:20, we get a pan of the courtroom with no audio. Maybe 10 minutes ago, we get the judge saying, okay, we're going to bring the jurors in, and then immediately went back to the seal. In the interim, two things are going on. There's a big show of support for Lindsay Clancy, hundreds of women in pink with their children and infants out in front of the courthouse. And then we're hearing from Lauren Conlon and other reporters, shout out to Lauren Conlon of LA Mag, that they were swearing in the jurors one by one at the bench. What's going on here, Tim? We're coming back now, I think. But what do you think? How serious is this?
It is serious. I mean, there was an issue with jurors, and they're individually asking each juror under oath whether or not they've heard something, seen
Counsel,
something.
we ready for the jury?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well,
It's
it's awesome to have Tim here. We're going to go to the first witness. Tim will watch this witness, and then we'll break all that down. I know you've got a busy schedule. If you have to bounce. If you can come back, come back.
Okay.
But I love having you here. Look how tan Tim is out on Cape Cod, man. Kevin Reddington, it is day 17. Tim, how fatigued are you if you're essentially a solo criminal defense attorney? This guy's in great shape, a black belt in karate, but how tiring is it on day 17 of this?
It is. He's got a lot of stamina. He is. He's on adrenaline at this point. He sees the end. He knows what's happening. And you get that adrenaline, you know, it's like taking exams in law school. You get hyped up. And then once the trial and exams are over, you're like, what do I do with all this time I got now? But, yeah.
All right, let's see who this witness is.
I think this is his expert, right?
It should be. I think it should be Dr. Philip Resnick or Margaret Spinelli.
A big witness.
Yeah. And they're saying the defense could rest as soon as today or tomorrow. I don't see it today, but hear ye.
Hey, all persons having anything to do before the Honorable William Sullivan, Justice of the Superior Court, now sitting in Plymouth, within the Honorable. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Court is now in session. Please be seated.
Yes.
Before the court today, we have a continuation of the jury trial in the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you again. I know I just spoke to you probably about 10 minutes ago. But again, I want to ask you those questions, then we'll talk a little bit about what our schedule is today and for the rest of the week. All right, so first question, has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial as a juror. Next, is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror that anybody needs to bring to my attention at this time? Again, thank you for following those instructions. And then in regards to our schedule today, you're allowed to kind of roll your eyes because I'm going to say we're going to have kind of a short day today. All right? And that is, as I talked to you yesterday about an issue that has nothing to do with any of the attorneys in this case. All right? It's just something we're going to work out, and I anticipate it will be worked out so that tomorrow you should count on a lengthier day. All right? I've talked to counsel earlier this morning in regards to where we are in regards to the schedule and the timeline. We are still, if not on schedule, still ahead of schedule. All right? And this delay that we may have a little bit this afternoon won't affect that. All right? So I just kind of wanted to let you know that I appreciate it. I know you came in here this morning. It's going to be a short day, but also gear up for a longer day tomorrow. Okay? And so with that, the other thing is I told you it's got nothing to do with any of the attorneys, but it's also or the parties. So you're not to speculate about what this might be. It's also you're not to hold it against either of the parties in regards to this. All right. If you're going to hold it against anybody, you can hold it against me. All right. So with that, we're going to return now to the evidence in this case. And Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Sheila Kavanaugh, please.
All right, they're calling expert Sheila Kavanaugh. Maybe there's an issue getting Dr. Philip Resnick out.
I think that's right. I think he probably is not available till tomorrow, and he probably has a couple witnesses for today. Then they'll end early. Then Resnick, and then cross-examination will probably be all day.
Yeah, there's no way.
Monday.
Yeah. I talked to Josh Ritter. He said closings Monday. There's no way it closings on Monday.
Yeah. So Ritter showed up, huh?
He showed up for a day. But he's in New York today.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was there. So this is the first witness of the day, and again, it might have to do with the expert witnesses that we were expecting not being available right now. But let's listen in.
Good morning. In this case, Madam Clerk, raise your right hand, please.
The testimony of the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury, the matter now coming between the Commonwealth and the jury with the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Yes. Thank you. You may have a seat.
Just watch your step right there.
All right. Well, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, I just ask you to speak into that microphone and keep your voice up so the jury can hear you. Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you tell us your name and spell your last name, please?
My name is Sheila Kavanaugh, Cavanaughh.
And what town do you live in?
I live in the town of Belmont, Massachusetts.
And what are you doing for work now?
I am a board-certified chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston.
And I didn't know that there were board-certified chaplains. What does that mean?
Well, to become board-certified, you need minimally a master's degree in theology or divinity. You need to complete 1,600 hours of training post your master's degree. 1,200 of those hours are occur in a clinical setting, and 400 of those hours are in a classroom setting where we study various disciplines: psychology, sociology, philosophy, theology, and ethics. Beyond that training, we need to acquire 2,000 hours of additional clinical training before we can even apply for board certification. And we have to demonstrate mastery of 30 competencies before we go to a national board, and they make the assessment. I also need an ecclesiastical endorsement, and in my case, that was from the Archdiocese of Boston, from Cardinal Sean O'Malley.
And before you obtained the board certification in your education to allow you to be a chaplain, what did you do for work?
Prior to becoming a chaplain, which is a second career for me, I was a senior vice president at Fidelity Investments in Boston.
And how long were you senior VP at Fidelity?
16 years.
And are you married?
I am.
You have a family?
I do. My husband and I are the parents of 4 adopted children. When I was pursuing my master's degree at Boston College, it was a 3-year master's, but it took me 5 years because we adopted our 4th child while I was in graduate school. She was a 14-year-old girl from Bogota, Colombia.
And how long have you been working now as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital?
7 years.
In the course of your duties as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital, did circumstances bring you in contact with Lindsay Clancy?
Yes, they did.
Can you tell the jurors what happened?
I arrived on the morning of Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. I arrived at approximately 8:30 that morning because I was there to relieve the overnight chaplain who was carrying the pager. I was taking over the pager shift, which went from 9 to 1 p.m., although I was working a full day. When I arrived that morning, she said to me, "Did you hear the news?" And
Sustain.
Okay.
So you can't, you got to object, so you can't say what someone told you, okay? That's called hearsay?
Okay.
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 So I can say, as a result of the conversation with that person, what happened?
I was summoned to the director of spiritual care's office.
Did you have a conversation with her?
I did.
All right. And as a result of that conversation, what did you do?
I went to Unit 8C in the Tower building of Brigham to meet with Lindsay Clancy.
And what time of day was this?
Roughly between 8:30 and 9:30 that morning.
And when you went in to see Lindsay, what did you observe?
Well, the unit itself was filled with law enforcement officers, both outside the doors of the unit. There was Brigham security, but the unit itself was flooded. There were people from Plymouth County, Boston City Police, Brigham Security, so I had to make my way through concentric circles of law enforcement to even get to the room. I was permitted to see Lindsay, although she could not speak at that time.
And what was her condition that you observed?
She was dressed in medical armor. She had tubes, she was intubated, she had bandages, she had a neck brace. She was just covered and layered in equipment that enabled her to breathe.
Now, I'm showing you Exhibit 121 and asking, this may be South Shore, or it could be Brigham and Women's, but is this indicative of what she appeared to be when you first saw her?
That looks like it's from South Shore because yes.
Does she have the same?
Similar.
Very similar?
Very similar.
That?
Yes, very similar.
Did you see her again on another date?
I did. I saw her the next day. Again, she could not speak. She was intubated as well. That was the first week that she was hospitalized.
When was the next time that you saw her?
The next time I saw her was the following week. I have a calendar here of my visits. I saw her on Tuesday, January 31st, and she had been extubated at that point so she could speak.
So the tube had been removed, she was able to communicate, and that was on January 31st?
I believe she was extubated the weekend of the 28th, but I didn't work that weekend, so I saw her on Tuesday the 31st.
All right. Tell the jurors what you observed and what, if any, conversation you had with Lindsay on the 31st. And let me ask you, how long had it been that they removed the tube?
Perhaps a day or two.
A day or two, okay. Tell the jurors what she said to you.
She continued to look like the photograph you just saw. She was covered, tubes everywhere, the neck brace. Her emotional state was very neutral, a flat affect. but I remember vividly the first thing she said to me. Now, she had heard me for a couple of days. We had been praying together. And so when I went in on Tuesday the 31st, she said to me as I held her hand to comfort her, "I am so glad my children are safe."
Was there any other conversation that you had with her?
I replied theologically to Lindsay, and I said, "Lindsay, your children are safe. They're safe in heaven with God." And I held her hand throughout that conversation, and we prayed for them.
Did she make any other statements to you?
She did. She alluded to having heard a voice, and the voice, according to Lindsay, told her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe.
And did she indicate whether it was a male voice, a female voice, loud, soft?
She alluded to the fact that it was a male voice and it was persistent.
Any further conversation that you recall about that, not about general things, you know?
That came up several times. I visited Lindsay minimally 14 times while she was hospitalized at the Brigham, and the voice conversation came up several times during several of our visits.
Now, after Lindsay was transferred or cleared to go from Brigham and Women's Hospital, did she go to another facility?
She did. She went to Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital.
And do you know when that was?
That was roughly late February, perhaps around the 23rd.
And did you continue to see Lindsay at Spalding Rehab?
I did.
Do you know when she left Spalding Rehab?
In the late March, early April time frame, perhaps.
Okay. Now, Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the same umbrella of hospitals, is that right?
They are. So Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the Mass General Brigham complex. So for me to visit Lindsay in Spalding, I was still within the same hospital complex, and her psychiatrist at Spalding, as well as the chaplains, advised me to continue.
You can't say what anybody told you.
Oh, sorry.
So, when she was discharged from Spalding Rehab, where did she go?
She went to Tewksbury State Hospital.
And fair to say that that would be back around February. It's been a little more than 3 years, 3.5 years.
Yes.
Is that correct? Now, when you saw her in Spalding Rehab and in Brigham and Women's, you were acting in the course of your job. Is that right?
That's correct.
You're being compensated, you're getting your paycheck and that type of thing. Right?
Yes.
How many times have you seen Lindsay at Tewksbury Hospital?
Perhaps 200 times.
Tell the jury why you continue to see her for 200.
Sustained.
So, can you tell us how often on a weekly basis you would see her at Tewksbury?
Yes. When Lindsay was admitted to Tewksbury State Hospital, I continued to see her on a weekly basis. We had built up a very comfortable, respectful rapport, and I felt it was in her best interest to continue that as she healed. She was still in deep grief. She was suffering.
Sustained.
So
That opinion will be stricken.
So, did she express anything about her children and their loss over that period of 200 times that you saw her thereabouts in Tewksbury?
Objection.
No, overruled.
Yes.
Other jurors?
Lindsay talks frequently about her children. She loves them deeply. She carries immense grief.
Objection.
Overruled. Next question.
And has that continued to your observation?
It continues presently.
When was the last time that you saw Lindsay in Tewksbury?
Just prior to the trial starting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Kamal.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good morning.
Good morning.
You were talking about on January 25th, 2023, when you first saw Lindsay in direct examination, and you said that there were a lot of police officers in the area, correct?
Correct.
But you mentioned that some of them were security personnel from the hospital, correct?
Correct.
And you're aware that the security personnel for the hospital don't work for the state police, the Duxbury Police, or the Plymouth County DA's office, correct?
Correct.
So they're separate and apart from law enforcement, correct?
Yes.
And then are you also aware that on January 25th, 2023, there was a search warrant being executed to collect evidence from the defendant and from the belongings that she had at the hospital?
No, I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that that collection of the search warrant required state police and personnel from the crime lab to be present for the collection of evidence?
I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that following that, at any given time, there were only 2 officers, either Duxbury Police, State Police, or Plymouth County Sheriffs, at her room, the defendant's room, at any given time?
I do recall that.
And they were stationed outside of her room, correct, in the hallway?
Yes.
So that the only time you saw this large amount of officers present was on the 25th, when there were security from the hospital and search warrants being executed, correct?
Perhaps.
Now, you mentioned that on January 31st, 2023, you spoke to the defendant, and she told you that she heard a voice telling her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe, correct?
Correct.
You wrote very detailed notes that are contained in the Brigham and Women's Hospital records regarding your interactions with Lindsay Clancy, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And in all of these notes that detail every time you interacted with her, you never once wrote that she told you she heard a voice or what that voice said, correct?
Correct.
And you also said that this voice, talking about the voice, came up in several of your meetings, correct?
Correct.
And you never once wrote about any of it in any of your very detailed notes, correct?
Well, chaplain notes are not verbatim transcripts of patient conversations. I'm not there to evaluate the patient. I'm there to bear witness to their suffering.
Okay, but the question was, you did not document those statements in your notes, correct?
Correct.
But you did document some other statements in those notes, correct?
Perhaps.
For example, on February 6th, 2023, in a note that you wrote regarding your interaction with the defendant, you said that, or you wrote, Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again, end quote. She continued to express her fears of how her inability to walk may make her vulnerable to others in the future. Do you recall writing that?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 9th, 2023, that the defendant was sitting in a chair adjacent to her bed and appeared to be visibly engaged, energized, and hopeful than in previous visits? Do you recall that?
Yes.
You also wrote in that note, Lindsay spoke hopefully of being discharged when the time arrives to Spalding, correct?
Correct.
And then in February 13th, 2023, you wrote in your note that Lindsay also expressed hopefulness in relation to her physical progress. She feels she has gained considerable physical strength and agility despite an inability to move her legs. She admitted that she feels, quote, deserving of this, end quote, in light of recent events. Do you remember writing that?
Yes.
Do you remember on February 16th, 2023, that you wrote in a note that the defendant expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted that she would be cared for in a facility with an excellent reputation?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 16th, 2023, that Paula, the defendant's mother, and Lindsay, the defendant, were playing a card game as they communed quietly, and that Lindsay expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted?
Yes.
And again, you've got all these details about her feelings and her thoughts and what she's doing, but nothing about the voices that you spoke of so many times, correct?
Correct.
And speaking of Spalding, you continued to visit her at Spalding, correct?
Yes.
In those conversations with her at Spalding, did she tell you that how in those first weeks at Spalding, that part of her physical therapy, she was working out with a yellow exercise band? No?
I don't recall her telling me that.
Did she tell you that during that time at Spalding, she reached out to a social worker there and asked for help filling out SSDI paperwork to get an income?
That would be beyond the scope of our conversation.
She didn't tell you those things?
No.
Thank you.
So, counsel has asked you about her filling out a form for SSDI. Were you aware of what expenses her family and were incurring as a result of her physical incapacity, paralysis, and being in the hospital?
From my experience with thousands of patients, I had a very clear idea of the enormous expense.
There's a difference between, as the district attorney very appropriately referred to, that your comments were about her thoughts and her appearance and her feelings. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's a difference, however, between privileged communications with a chaplain and observations of a person's feelings and thoughts, correct?
Correct.
Tell the jury what effect privileged communication has when someone talks to you personally as a chaplain.
Because I'm not a medically trained clinician, I approach patients in a vortex of trust. Some of our chaplains at the Brigham are ordained clergy. And so there's this understanding that when a patient interacts with a chaplain, the conversations are confidential.
Do you put them in medical records?
No.
The words, like Lindsay indicated that she felt uplifted, I think the counsel read that twice. Were those your notes, or is that what she said to you? Did she say, I feel uplifted, or is that your
was my
observation?
perception of Lindsay. It was not her words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Como?
You said you're not allowed to put the defendant's words in your medical records, is that correct?
No, that's not correct. It's not that I'm not allowed. It's an understanding, and it's a conversation that's held in confidence with the patient.
Then why are there direct quotes in these medical records from the defendant?
Well, they're not verbatim transcripts.
No, not a transcript of the whole conversation, but you put phrases in quotes. For example, on February 6, 2023, where it says Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again. So those were her words in your note, in quotes, in the medical record, correct?
Yes.
Thank
yes,
you.
I use my best judgment.
Okay. I would move to have these submitted as the next exhibit, the notes of the witness in her interactions with Ms. Clancy at the Brigham and Women's.
Any objection?
No.
All right. They may be admitted.
I have no further questions. Sorry.
Hey, Mr. Reddington, go ahead.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Pretty
That
good
was-
cross-examination.
Yeah, that was testimony of the chaplain from the Brigham. as
Counsel,
they
can
say.
I see it?
And now,
Looks like
of
this
course,
might be their last witness of the day.
yeah, unreal. 10:35 in the morning. If you're just joining us, court started just a little while ago, about a half hour, less than a half hour ago, and the judge immediately said to the jurors, "You can roll your eyes at me. This is going to be another short day." It appears that one of the primary witnesses for the defense is not there, and they could wrap as soon as right after this. Hard to believe, but this was Sheila Kavanaugh of Belmont, Massachusetts, who is a board-certified chaplain, a former vice president at, I think she said Fidelity, parent of 4 adopted children. She's asked to describe Lindsay Clancy at the hospital, said she was dressed in medical armor, intubated, neck brace, said that her emotional state was neutral and a flat affect. And then, Tim, a week after the killing, she's talking to Lindsay Clancy in the hospital, and Lindsay says to her, this is trigger warning / creep warning. She says to the chaplain, "I'm so glad my children are safe." This
Right.
is a woman who just choked the life out of her children. The chaplain looks at her and trying to figure it out and says, "Well, they're safe in heaven with God," and then says that they held hands and prayed together. Tim, how do you think that impacts the jurors? They hear a mother who just admits to killing her children saying, "After the killings, I'm so glad my children are safe." Sounds like a lot of crazy to me.
Yeah, it sounds interesting that, a chaplain, when you speak to your priest or chaplain, rabbi, that's supposed to be privileged communication. So the chaplain shouldn't be writing your comments in a medical record. Um, she did put her impressions and notes and some comments, and she used her discretion. But it was interesting. She never mentioned the voices. Okay, that was consistent. But then she says, and you would figure a chaplain would, they're there for religious reasons, say they're with God. And it's appropriate response by the chaplain. She didn't lie to her and say, yeah, they're fine, or didn't say anything. But it does sound like Lindsay is not in reality, right? She doesn't know if she's happy they're safe. Um, it's these experts are really going to have a hard time figuring out what's going on here. And I'm curious to see this next expert, what he's going to say about this.
Yeah, and it might be tomorrow. There is a good chance, just brace yourselves, that court is over already at 10:38 a.m. We're going to find out in a minute. But Tim, the other obvious huge thing here is not only did she say, "I'm so glad my children are safe,"
Yeah.
she tells the chaplain she was hearing a voice,
Right.
a male voice, and that the voice essentially said that if she didn't do something, she and the children would not be safe. We're back here. Let's hear the
Yeah.
judge.
Right? And I appreciate your patience with us. So I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow at 9.
Oh my God.
Same
You gotta be
instructions.
kidding me.
And that includes reading anything, talking about this case, watching anything. Just don't do it. All right? And when you leave here today, just drive, go home, wherever you're going to go, and plan on being back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. The plan would be that it will be it will be a longer day than today. I appreciate you coming in here today. We moved the case a little bit today, and I appreciate that. So we were able to do that. So I hope everybody has a nice afternoon and evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning for a longer day. And just remember those instructions from the moment you leave to the moment you come here tomorrow. Okay? Again, thank you so much.
All rise, please. Your intensity.
This is just absolute. It happens, but this trial seems to happen more than it happened in any other trial. We didn't see any of this in the, Adelson's trials.
Yeah, it's every day. I have no idea what's going on. Bear with me for 1 second. And Tim, let me bring up one thing, and I'll have you. Let's wait for him to officially adjourn court.
Court is closed the session. Please be seated.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll take a short break at this point. We'll come back. We'll do kind of a preliminary charge conference. We're going to which I know counsel knows, but for everybody else, discuss possible jury instructions, suggestions from counsel. Then we can talk about any logistical issues that we have for tomorrow, and then we'll probably recess at that point. All right, so this will be a short recess, and we'll come back up. Thank you.
All right, so yet another short recess. They're going to come back and talk about the charge conference and jury instructions. It's kind of crazy. But Tim, going back to this chaplain who was on the stand for less than a half hour, she did tell on direct exam that Lindsay mentions a voice telling her that if she didn't do something, she and the children would not be safe. And this is after she says, "I'm so glad my children are safe." So the obvious implication is that the voice told her if she didn't kill her kids and herself, that the children, that they would not be safe. and that's presumably why she did it. She said she visited her 14 times at the Brigham, but I think hundreds of times since this all happened, and said that the voice conversations came up several times. Now, on cross, this chaplain is keeping copious notes, but not a single time in her note-taking does she mention the male voice. How does, I don't know, that sounds suspicious, smells suspicious. Is it suspicious?
Well, look at this. This woman worked in, I guess, not Wall Street, but investments, very high, probably made a lot of money, couldn't have children or decided to adopt, went into the religion and got her master's, got a board certified. I've never heard of that before. Does anybody believe this woman would take an oath and lie in a courtroom? I don't. I think she's honest. I think anybody goes into religion, is going to be an honest person. She fears God. She's not going to swear on a Bible and lie. So I think she has credibility. She explained it that, hey, these are confessions or communications that are privileged. And so she didn't put those in there. But, and I think the state probably did their best cross of any witness. They stuck, they focused to the point, they brought up things, they acted like competent lawyers here today. And so is it neutral? I think there are points Kevin wanted to get out that she just didn't make this up because her husband told her to or someone said something, but that she was talking to clergy, knowing that it was, protected, and told her about the voices. So it cuts both ways. And I think it's a slight advantage for Kevin. Because what is the prosecutor going to say? That this board certified clergy lied to you and that the lady didn't say these things and just that's not going to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't attack this clergy and say she lied. She's a liar.
Yeah. No, I hear you. My Angel's here. And by the way, we're waiting for the judge to come back. They're going to work out some jury instructions and it's going to be an early day. I just asked Steve Cohen if we can move the wrap-up show to maybe 12:30 today, waiting to hear back from him. But she acted out in anger that day. I'm convinced of that now. I mean, Tim, you're supposed to hear all the evidence. You think these jurors, there's 18 of them, 12 women, 6 men, ultimately 12 will deliberate, but you think they're keeping an open mind still? You think that their minds are made up? And are some like my Angels who are now maybe switching their point of view?
And what she's switching it, I didn't.
Well, she says right here, she said she's now saying she acted out. Lindsay acted out in anger that day. I'm convinced of that now.
I don't know where that evidence came from. But every juror is told not to make their mind up until all the evidence. Do they form opinions? Yes. Do they bring in their own biases and listen? And then when they feel like they've heard enough, they're done, but they're still listening. But they pretty much have made their minds up. They can be convinced, but this is such an emotional case. It's a tragic case. I still don't think we're going to get a verdict. I think this is a case that it was brought. It sat on both sides. It wasn't competently brought. And I think there is some clearly evidence that she suffered and was asking for help. This is not a woman that just all of a sudden out of nowhere with no help, no doctors, no medication, seeking help, just killed her kids and said, I had this psychosis. This woman was reaching out for months and months. And you had a spouse who was kind of ambivalent. His own mother said that she was willing to come that weekend to come help, and he turned him away. So it wasn't like you had a spouse who was really helping her combat these issues that he was aware of.
From Gene, Tara, JD, Joel, can you please say hello to my brother? Hello, brother. He's going through a hard time right now. For everyone going through a hard time, there will be brighter days ahead. I'm sorry to hear that, Gene, but yeah, I wish I knew your brother's name, but I don't. But hang in there. Where there is darkness, there will be light. Good thing you didn't head there tomorrow, Joel. I was thinking about going up, still thinking about it. There's no way there are going to be closing arguments tomorrow because you've got a pair of witnesses ahead, and
maybe rebuttal.
Yeah, and they've said that there's going to be a rebuttal case. COE, do I go up on Sunday? That is the question. We'll have to discuss
Come on
that.
up. Come on up.
Yeah,
We got a place for you.
thank you, man. I appreciate it. And look, Leo Nugent here. What's up, Leo? Great coverage as always. Appreciate the super chat. So this was a very short witness who, again, is now the second person who is talking about this male voice. Now, Tim, what's interesting too, and I think the jurors are going to take this into account, this whole male voice that she heard is never discovered or discussed or heard about till after the killings of the three children. In other words, she never mentioned hearing voices to anyone prior to the killings. Is that a problem for the defense?
It can be. It can be. I'm sure the last expert will basically. Kevin's probably going to have to get this expert to say something about that and explain it. Could you all of a sudden hear voices?
And Tim, take us inside baseball here. I mean, what is for Kevin Reddington? Just like today, for example, he hasn't had his two star witnesses, this guy Resnick and Spinelli, the two doctors. Right. What is he doing? Court is still in session, by the way. We're waiting for them to come back and talk a little bit about jury instructions. In the meantime, I reached out to Steve, everybody, to see if we can do the wrap-up show at 12:30. But what is a guy like Kevin Reddington, the defense attorney, what is he going to do today after court? I'm just curious what like the workflow is like. Is he going to go and look at questions for the direct exam for these witnesses? What is he doing on a daily today?
Now, just don't be fooled and think just because Kevin's sitting at the table, he doesn't have lawyers behind him or in his office prepping him, getting these notebooks, getting his questions, getting his witnesses all ordered. Kevin is not out there chasing down these witnesses, making sure they're available. He's got staff doing that. I've seen a young lawyer talking to him, coming in and going out. So they got jury instructions coming up, and probably someone in his office will help him with that. He can't focus. I mean, it is a major focus, jury instruction, but this is just preliminary. His two biggest witnesses are coming on, so he's probably preparing for that. He's going over his notes on the prosecution's case, their cross-examination, and what holes are left that the prosecution can take advantage of. And he's going to make sure that this witness covers those holes, right? He's got to make sure those questions get asked. And then he decides which order to put them in, who to call first, who to call last. You always want to end with a strong witness for the defense. So maybe their strongest witness will be their last witness. But he's mindful of the jury instruction, but these are just preliminary. And then he's got to work on his closing, because, closing is going to be the key in this case is going to be this doctor's testimony and the closings. Mm-hmm. I don't know what much rebuttal the state has. They put on what they had. And so we'll see.
Yeah. Someone said the chaplain was very performative. I don't know if it's performative or just her kind of personality type, but there's a little, little idiosyncratic thing going on there. This was definitely sort of the creepy factor in the testimony this morning. The Commonwealth revealed that according to notes at this new hospital she was at, that Lindsay was working out with a yellow exercise band. I got to tell you, if my three kids, God forbid, their lives are ended at the hands of a woman who used exercise bands, I could never look at an exercise band again. What about that, Tim, that she's now reportedly exercising with an exercise band? It's haunting at the very least, but could a juror say, wow, what's wrong with this woman? She's using the same murder weapon just a short time later to work out with. Is a juror going to see that and be like, what is happening here?
Joel, you're like the common juror, right? You could be on a juror. You probably wouldn't be now, but you're thinking what a common juror would think. And the prosecution brought it up. and they're going to come to their attention. Wow, she killed these people because she was crazy, and now she's working out bands again after she'd been told what she did, and now she's got treatment and she's on therapy and she understands. It's troubling. And then they said she was playing cards with her mother, I think, in the hospital, getting anxious, excited about getting released. Those are all things that, Kevin and the defense are going to have to respond to. But the exercising with bands, pretty damaging.
Yeah, look at Italian Joan with that cute little pug. That is so sick, using exercise bands. She's crazy and guilty. So if Italian Joan's on the jury and she hears that she's now working out with yellow exercise bands, and I don't know if that's one of the colors, I don't recall, used, because there were
I
different
don't
colored
know.
bands.
I don't recall seeing yellow. No.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something that these jurors might get stuck on and say, well, now, I'm thinking differently. She has no remorse. She's even working out with these bands. But Tim, what about we saw this in the Karen Reed trial, supporters, and then once again in pink, like the other trial, there's hundreds of supporters. Shout out to Court Dog Daniel, who's on his X account. He's got a really good pan across of all the. There's hundreds of these protesters that are out there today. How does that impact what's going on the inside? I mean, these jurors drive to court. They're not sequestered. They're going to see these supporters. What kind of impact does that have on them?
Well, I can tell you, because when I was at the court, these jurors walk in the same front doors. They go in the side door, but they park in the same parking lot. So, and they don't get there, I don't think, till like 8:15 or 8:30. And they would see these people in pink. They would see them. You feel it. And I think it's the same way the Karen Reed people see it. You're going to see that when you go in there, and that kind of, support is not missed by jurors that live in the community. And the people that are holding, it's not like crazy. I mean, it looks like mom and kids all wearing pink.
Yeah, it's they're there with their kids. So Jean's back here. Her brother's name, Jimmy, is going through a really hard time. Jimmy, just remember, there is, I said it before, there's always light after the darkness. I know that's a cliche and it's probably not very comforting, but everyone has been in your shoes at some point in their lives. You are not alone. You are not the only one. Everyone who is a human being has gone through a very difficult time for one reason or another. You cannot escape this world without going through a really tough time. So you're not alone. You're not the only one going through it. And you're going to come out on the other side. You've got a sister that loves you and a community here that cares about you. So I think a lot of people, when they are going through hard times, think that they are the only ones who've ever done that. And one thing I know, being the son of a psychiatrist and the son of a licensed social worker, is everyone on planet Earth goes through tough times to different degrees. And you just got to know it is like being in the ocean. You got to ride the wave of pain out, and you will come out stronger, even though it doesn't feel that way right now. So I hope that helps a little bit, at least. But Tim, someone's yelling at me. They got through 70 witnesses in 17 days. Why are you riding this judge and giving him a hard time? And by the way, we're waiting for the judge and court to come back with just the lawyers to go through the jury instructions. But Tim, I mean,
I'm glad this question came up. They don't have 17 full days of testimony. Okay. It hasn't been 17 full days. There's been tons of time that have been wasted and lost. You're really talking about maybe 14 days if you actually talk about the trial testimony. And it may not all be the judge's fault, it may be problem scheduling or whatever, but it's not been 17 days. This trial could have been done in 2 to 3 weeks. Many of the witnesses were overlapped, cumulative, didn't need to be called by the prosecution. This should have been a 3-week trial. And the judge could have had more control. I don't know what's going behind the scenes. Maybe he's just polite and their expert's not available, and he knows how important this expert is, so he can't pressure the guy. So, but still, it hasn't been a tight schedule by this court. The break's a short break. What's a short break to a judge? Usually 10 minutes. I'm sure we've been going on more than 10 minutes. And so, yeah, there is some criticism for the judge.
Yeah.
And he probably could have cut some of these witnesses at cumulative and told the prosecution, what's this witness going to say? I don't need 8 witnesses to say the same thing. And I think a lot of people watching the trial said there were tons of witnesses saying the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, there were all these stipulations, but nevertheless, they still went through a lot of these details over and over again. I mean, Tim, you always bring up Judge Hankinson from Tallahassee.
Yep.
Would he have ever stood for this kind of?
No,
What would he? I mean, if you can't get your witnesses in, and I'm not blaming. We don't know what's going on, but let's assume Kevin Reddington is having a hard time getting these witnesses to fly out. What would a guy like Judge Hankinson say to you?
Well, you bring it to the attention of the judge. The judge would say, well, let me call the judge that he's got a subpoena for. Let's see if I can work out, get him released so he can get to this court because we need this trial to move. And some judges take an active role and will call another judge, call a federal judge, wherever the guy may be subpoenaed, and they work it out. Some are more controlling of their schedule. Others, Judge Sullivan seems to be pretty ambivalent and all lets it go, and he's very nice and kind, and he tries to be fair, but he may be a little bit too easy on scheduling. But that's just his demeanor, and it's not a criticism. He's a bad judge. He's just different. Other judges probably wouldn't let this happen. These breaks,
Yeah.
no, Hankinson wouldn't let 30 minutes of testimony on a work day, and we had a couple other days where they took long breaks and took weekends and just different. It's just different up here. I can tell you that, different. And,
Yeah, I mean,
and Judge Everett wouldn't do this either.
I was just going to say that. I feel like Judge Everett would be way tougher. I mean, again, Tim just said it's his kind of his personality. Sure, he's a great guy. Judge William Sullivan kind of strikes me as like a oh shucks kind of guy, just like a nice kind of guy. But
I agree.
Not the most stringent. Not you know, the command of the courtroom is not quite there in the same way as, let's say, Judge Hankinson or Stephen Everett. James Fagan outside of Philly. What a monster. Would you ever even pick up or look at it? And apparently the yellow band, which is what she was working out with, is the same color band in the chat that was used to take Dawson, who was the first victim, the middle child's life. So
I don't recall that, but I trust the viewers. But
yeah,
I
I trust him more than me.
Yeah. And I was in court that day when she pulled him out. But I didn't remember a yellow one, but okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. If I'm a juror, there's weird things that stick with me. That also, I've been talking, Tim. We never saw, as far as I know, we never saw Lindsay Clancy take a note or react until yesterday when the Commonwealth on cross-exam was going through the birthdays of the kids after the killings and what Lindsay was doing in the psych hospital. And it was like she was playing dominoes. She was hanging out with her mom and laughing. And the implication was that she wasn't mourning these days, the birthdays after the fact. And you could see Lindsay getting visibly, I don't know if I want to say angry, but she was upset and she took a note. But you kind of saw she got out of this sort of what appears to be a catatonic state almost. And she got she got upset, like angry. And you saw like a little different side of her. And I was like, whoa, is there another side to this woman? So it's like, it's the yellow exercise band to work out. Things like this for a juror, I think, start to add up. And then you start to question yourself, is she really that quote unquote innocent? Maybe
that's the problem, Joel. That's why I think you're not going to get a verdict. You're going to have people think, yeah, I think she did it and she's faking it. And you're going to have others think, oh no, I think she's legitimately had a problem. And you're not going to get 12 to agree. If we're having these questions, right, whether or not she did it, isn't that reasonable doubt?
Yeah, 100%. Look at Tucker. He's been send Lindsay Clancy to prison. I'm sorry, if not worse. But you don't want to make Lindsay angry. He says, "What do you make of this comment, Tim? The judge is pro-defense."
I think he's very deferential to Kevin Reddington, and I think there's a reason why, because Kevin is a very respected lawyer, and if there's going to be an appeal, Kevin would be one to do it. The state's not going to appeal if you get a not guilty. There is no appeal, but he's very deferential and he's respectful of Kevin, and it comes across that way. But remember, Kevin's not making a bunch of nonsense. When Kevin speaks, he's got a good basis for it. He doesn't object a lot, but when he does object, it's pretty right on point. So while it may look he's being positive to the defense, it's only because the state is doing such a poor job.
Programming in terms, I think she's referring back to the hospital when Lindsay was playing dominoes. Joel, it's all BS. What do people think she'd be doing, sitting in a corner drooling? I do think, speaking of that there is a segment of society who like when they hear this postpartum psychosis, that is sort of the image that they have. What happened to Tim there? Because he's still here. There we go. That there is some that there is a notion from a lot, I think more than some people, that it is a person who's like in this bizarre state that is drooling in the corner. Right? I don't. I think there are people that probably think that to a degree, and
Right.
they're going to have to learn otherwise. From True Crime Mind 1, not buying the psychosis. I mean, Tim from day one has been saying it is going to be a hung jury. Tim, what? Let's say they come to a decision.
Yeah.
Do you see this? Do you see this as being a lengthy deliberation? I talked about this with Josh Ritter, and I talked on the phone yesterday, and both Josh and I said to each other, yeah, this is going to be a long deliberation. But I've seen in the comments section people saying, no, they're going to come back in 2-3 hours. Either she's going to prison or she's going to a psych hospital. What do you think? You think it's going to be a while that they deliberate?
I think it depends on the makeup of the final jury, right? What the numbers are, male and female, who's going to be the foreperson, because you're going to get some jurors in there. They're going to say, I'm not voting guilty. I don't care what you say. I think, and they're going to say, I'm not. And they'll try to go through the evidence with them, and they're going to get frustrated, and they're going to basically say, okay. And it might take a preliminary vote, but this is contentious on both sides because everybody wants justice for the kids. This should not have happened to these kids. But you've got evidence, clear evidence from experts, this woman, and documentation that she was suffering. And they were giving her all these meds. And you got a brand new doctor who was not up to speed. But then you have this catastrophic, horrible crimes in these poor kids. So you got both of these forces competing. And I just don't see how you're going to get 12 to agree or disagree and waive their opinions. Now, it could be quick or it could be long.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if they can't agree, how long will the judge kind of force their hand to continue to work it out?
Yeah, he'll probably keep it a couple days. It's been a 3-week trial. He'll probably keep them in there a couple days until they say they were hopelessly. He'll give them an Allen charge or whatever modified charge they do up here. But if they say we're hopelessly deadlocked, Judge, we're not going to be able to reach a decision, no matter how long you keep us. He might keep them 2 or 3 days.
Okay. Horsepower here. Thank you to STS, Joel and COE. Thank you. Best in the business. How about that? For you, Tim, from Risa here. Question for Lawyer Jansen. What sentence would be appropriate if she's found guilty? In other words, if she's found criminally responsible, a mental health nurse here in Vancouver, is there a minimum mandatory? Is this an automatic life sentence, Tim? Is there discretion? I don't even know.
I'd have to look it up, but I think it probably is. She certainly can get life in prison. I don't know if there's a minimum mandatory. There probably is a minimum mandatory. Maybe somebody in a chat who's a Massachusetts lawyer. But in Florida, she'd be looking at life in prison. You got 3 counts of it, so I can't see how the judge, even if he gave her 25 years, 30 years on each count, it would be 90 years. If she's found guilty, the judge will give her life in prison.
From HT, Joel, am I a friend of the show now? 100%. Plus, you're active in the chat. Member for 2 years, 24 months. You all make me want to go back to school for a JD. I'm with you on that too. HT, I would do it, but I'm too tired. and I would have to have Tim do all my homework, or maybe Joe Patuto do all my homework. But law school is a lot of work. I
You
think
don't
I
want
told
Joe
you.
grade. You don't want Joe grading your homework. That's for
No,
sure.
you don't want that. But I was covering the Courtney Clenny thing, and I used to work in local news, and I see the pool camera photographer, and we were friends.
Yeah.
And I see him, and I was like, "Hey, Tim, I thought you went to law school." And he's like, "I did. I went 10 years ago. I graduated. I worked 5 years in private practice, 5 years at a firm, and I hated it. So I'm back to being a photographer." So then I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go to law school.
I
But
think you're at the job you need to be at.
yeah, I don't think I just want to learn the law. I don't want to practice law, but I would like to go. So Tim, now we're waiting on the judge. This was a short break. This has
Short
now been
break.
like,
How
yeah,
long's it been?
probably a
25
half
minutes?
hour. It's actually been, I think it was 10:31. It is now 11:07. You guys can
Yeah.
do the math, but it's
That's a
been,
short break.
yeah. So what are they going to do now? They talked about jury instructions. I mean, that
Mhm.
seems like a very lengthy process, but he said it
It
was going to
is.
be, but he made it sound like it's going to be short on the flip side. So are they going through all the actual jury instructions now? Or are they just starting to like set the framework for that? What do you think is going to happen
That's a
after this?
good answer. Because they're setting the framework. Like what instructions are applicable in this case? Defendant with multiple counts, what the standard and jury instructions are for each one, affirmative defenses, experts, there's an instruction on use of experts, um, how to judge a witness competency, what credibility you can judge all apart or take some. So those are all, and there might be some nuances because of the psychiatric defense issues. So all those are going to have to be put together, but none of them will be finalized till both state and the Commonwealth and the defense rest. Then they'll know exactly what applies, and then both sides might argue, we believe this should apply, judge, or that should apply, and then they argue, and the judge makes the final call.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's boring for non-lawyers, really boring, and
Yeah.
time consuming.
Jury needs a strong foreperson. I've been wondering about this. How important or influential is a strong jury foreperson on a case like this? Can a jury foreperson get people to, can he persuade people to come to his or her side?
You ever seen the movie 12 Angry Men
Yes.
with Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah.
Great movie. It showed the biases back then and how reason and going carefully through the evidence, they worked through it. Sure, a strong foreperson can control the jurors, but in this case, you've got some people who are going to be entrenched. Some that will be swayed, some that might change their, but there's going to be some that say, I'm not moving. I can't get over she killed the kids. I can't let her go. Or I completely think she was mentally unfit and I can't convict.
Mm.
And that's the problem with this case.
Yeah. Sarah Hardine here, or Sarah Arden. Sarah Arden. Oh. What is now in charge, Tim?
Allen charge is when the jurors say they can't reach a decision. The judge brings them in, gives them, sometimes they call them modified Allen, basically says, listen, you're the jurors in the best position. All the evidence that's ever going to be brought, another jury basically can't do it. You need to reaffirm or reconsider your views and your vote. Don't give up a vote if you believe in it, but reconsider, consider what other people are saying. No other jury can try it better than you. And we think you can make and you'd be amazed how quickly they make verdicts. They do. There's like a kick, a little nudge to the jury. And they almost all the times come back within an hour of a verdict.
Interesting.
Defense hates it. We hate them.
Yeah, you hate him, of course. You want a hung jury. Hey Tim, why hasn't Reddington made sure his witness was here on time? I mean, how often you run into that, Tim? Where it's like, I mean, is that like you sweat bullets over that, wondering, hey, is this person gonna actually show up?
It happens all the time with experts, and if this expert is as good as he is, he's probably got subpoenas in other courtrooms that he's either at or he's been subpoenaed for, or he's traveling, or who knows, maybe he's ill, maybe he missed his flight. With experts, it happens a lot. With non-experts, it doesn't really happen. The judge will say, next witness. You don't have a witness? Okay. It's got to be someone really important. These witnesses are going to be the key to the whole defense. He's not going to say you can't call your witness. It's going to be overturned on appeal. You got to give some leeway.
From Socorro Farias here. Why is she allowed to? Yesterday, Tim, she was looking at a cell phone at the defense table. She was scrolling. Why is a defendant allowed to be on a cell phone? Isn't that unusual?
Was it her cell phone? Maybe she's looking at her own text messages.
I think, I don't know if it was hers or if it was Kevin Reddington's, but she definitely picked it up and looked at it. So
unless they're communicating with his staff and their lawyers that are working on the case are asking her questions and she's responding while Kevin's in trial doing the trial, right? Otherwise, you would normally have a lawyer sitting next to her telling her, if you got any questions or anything, write something down. But there's no one sitting there. Kevin likes to, for whatever reason, be the focus.
Before I bring up this next comment, let me tell you, I have zero way of being able to corroborate this, and I don't know that it's true. As a matter of fact, it might not be true. But hypothetically, Tim, Shannon says, I heard Resnick, who's the prime defense witness, backed out last minute. We have zero way of knowing if that's true. But, Tim, if hypothetically, what do you do if your star defense witness backs out? Let's make it more general. What if your star defense witness just says, I don't want to do this now for whatever reason?
Well, he may have a pretty good case for a mistrial, saying that I've spoken to this jury, I've told this jury what my witnesses are going to say, who my witness is. His name has been read, and if I don't call him, I'm going to be prejudiced. I don't know why he's backed out. If that's true, that would be a serious blow to the defense. Serious blow.
What would you do? Would you ask for a mistrial? I mean, Kevin Reddington's, when he was asked about this comment about the Catholic comment about a mortal sin, and someone said, are you going to, call for a mistrial? And he said, why would I want to do this all over again? So it seems like he doesn't want a mistrial, but that's different than your prime defense witness backing out. If it were you, would you ask for a mistrial?
Well, Kevin obviously feels he's doing well. He thinks he's on a verge of getting either a hung jury or getting guilty by a reason of insanity. That's not what they call it up there, and in fact, that's what it is. He probably doesn't want to try it again. He's 75 years old.
Yeah.
He's pushing this thing this rock up this mountain. He doesn't want to retry this all the time. Usually the state does better the second time. Now they know what his defense is. Now they're going to get witnesses to undercut all his cross-examination. Retrials usually benefit the state, not the defense. And Kevin knows
that. Susan Wandell here. This is a great point. I mean, we're not looking through the eyes of Lindsay Clancy here. I don't think we want to, but we're not. And it says, why would a psychotic paraplegic who thinks her children are safe have a problem with an exercise band? I mean, she's got a totally irrational mindset with, her children being safe. So maybe a band doesn't bother her. But this is 100%. I should be echoing this more. The mods doing a phenomenal job during this trial. And also shout out to Space Coast, the COE, and Meave Moen, all of the team putting in a tremendous effort for this. On that note, please hit the like and subscribe button, and we've got an active Patreon page as well. Tim addressed all the sidebars. And by the way, this short break is now close to 45 minutes, and we're waiting for them to come back. The day is not over. The day is supposed to continue with some discussion about jury instructions, albeit I don't think it's going to be too lengthy, but it is supposed to happen. And so we're just waiting now in a holding pattern to see what happens once the judge comes back along with the defense and prosecution. I'm just going to bounce Tim out for a sec. I think he's grabbing a call. It is 11:16 here on the East Coast, and no truer words than this ever stated in the chat. Hurry up and wait. A lot of this trial has been hurry up and wait. That's what they say in show business, because it's all about the lighting. It takes a long time to light everyone, and so people are sitting around waiting all day. Kevin has done a great job of humanizing Lindsay. Tim is back here. Let's see if I can bring him in for some reason. Here we go. Hey, Tim. What do you think of this?
I lost Joe. I lost you. A phone call came in, and
Yeah,
I pushed red, and it knocked me out.
you're back.
Sorry.
You're back. Can you hear us?
I can hear you fine.
Kevin has done a great job of humanizing Lindsay. Do you agree? And how important is it to humanize her?
Oh, I think it is important, and I think he's got to show she does have sympathy for her children, loves her children, that she wouldn't have hurt her children except for these voices, and he has to get that in there. That's why he put that in there. But if he loses Resnick, that's big, and I wonder why Resnick would not testify.
Yeah, I don't know. Has not been confirmed yet. Someone in the chat said that until we get multiple sources saying it, I would not take that as fact. But there's been it's been put out there that maybe the prime defense witness has backed out. We don't know that though for sure.
Oh, you know what? Maybe he's been watching the trial, watching the evidence, and based on what he's hearing or heard from other people, his opinion might change. Because remember, this is an expert who's always testifying for the government or the state, right? They said it was abnormal for him to testify. Maybe he's heard or seen something from witnesses, because experts are allowed to watch and test. Maybe he's changed his, and he's told that to Kevin.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. And he is usually a government witness. So we're in a holding pattern here. Philip Resnick is the expert witness. People are asking, who is Resnick? He is a expert witness. He has testified in the Timothy McVeigh trial, the Oklahoma City bombing, as well as the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski for the government. But he's an expert in quote unquote malingering, but he's also a big expert in the field of maternal mental health. And I think has been writing about it since like the early 70s. Anybody who has studied this in school has read books and papers by Philip Resnick. They all know him. The jury was sent home for the day. I'm seeing that in the chat. The jury was sent home for the day, so it's definitely a short day. It's only 11:19 on the East Coast. The judge said he was taking a short break, and then he was coming back to go over a few, housekeeping issues, but they have not done that. There was a day, I think, where the pool cameraman we never panned off the seal, thinking that we would, and I'm hoping that didn't happen today. Started following your channel during Nancy Guthrie. Been a huge fan ever since. Some of the best, if not the best coverage out there. Thank you to Matrix Prime. Appreciate that, as we do have the best guests in all of true crime. Anxiety Maiden, yes. The jurors are gone. I don't know if the supporters are gone, but the jurors are gone. Esther is not happy with the judge. Other people are not happy with the judge. Anxiety Maiden just finding out her anxiety is on the rise. She says, oh, my Lord. So we're just waiting for this housekeeping here. It's day 17 of testimony. And yesterday was a very short day. Today, another short day. I don't think anyone predicted this.
So you can take those 2 days off. Those aren't really days of testimony, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And other days that were short.
Yeah. Here's perhaps the most poignant comment of the day from Misdemeanor OG. Joel, your hair looks pretty good today, but not as good as Tim's, but pretty damn good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anxiety Maiden is back here. Tim,
hey, Joel, so I was at the baseball game last night.
Yeah.
And this lady behind me goes, I bet you own a boat. My husband swears you own a boat. I said, what do you mean? He goes, do you own a boat? I said, yeah. He goes, we knew you owned a boat. And I don't, my wife goes, probably because of your tan. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, you gotta love Fenway.
Yeah.
Go Yankees. So purple and truffles here. Can a juror quit, Tim? That's an interesting question. What if a juror comes in and says to the judge, I can't in good consciousness deliberate for whatever reason?
It
Could be
could.
that, what if like something's going on at home? Let's say the juror's going through a divorce and they're just like, I can't
Yeah.
concentrate. What does that happen where a juror goes to the judge and says, I can't do this anymore?
It does happen. I've seen it happen. And the juror says, I can't emotionally do this anymore. I thought I could. I thought I could put aside, but now that I heard the evidence, and they get removed. And then the judge removes them, and then that person is gone. And that could happen. Could that happen? Absolutely.
And why do you think? I mean, so also for those who are just tuning in, one of the other things on this very weird day, before we ever got to the chaplain, the female chaplain, there was a long delay, over an hour at the beginning of the day. Court didn't start till after 10 a.m. And Tim, they were individually swearing in jurors. You mentioned this at the beginning. I think it's worth repeating. What would prompt that?
Well, if something was heard, or a bailiff saw something, or someone brought something to the attention of the judge, that maybe someone contacted a juror, or someone said something, someone was in the elevator near a juror, and they've asked them under oath, did anybody contact you? And you know what I'm saying? They would do that individually, not in front of the whole jury panel. You don't want to taint the whole panel. And they wanted to have each juror individually under oath swear to court that that didn't happen, or they didn't hear anything that affects their testimony.
Mm.
And you see every day the judge goes, is there anything else that I should know about your jury service? That's basically telling the jurors, is there any reason you can't go forward? And the judge asks that every day.
Mm. Apparently, Chanley Painter, who used to be with Court TV and is now
Yeah.
with Fox News, he was interviewed after, or at some point this morning. She interviewed Kevin Reddington at some
Yeah.
point today, and he's quoted as saying, she's so beat up and just so sad, regarding Lindsay Clancy. So he's doing his work. I don't know if people can see this, but
Yeah.
that is Dr. Philip Resnick. Looks like an expert witness in malingering. He's a forensics. He's a forensic psychiatrist. He looks the part. He's apparently well into his 80s, and he's the witness that I think was supposed to testify today and is not there. And now everyone is wondering what is going on. Something undoubtedly is happening behind the scenes. What it is, I don't think anyone knows, except for maybe the attorneys and the judge, but something is going on.
Now, remember, the judge said tomorrow's going to be a long day, and we think there's two witnesses,
Yeah.
right? Resnick and another one. The judge wouldn't have told the jury you're going to be here a long day tomorrow unless it was a scheduling. If the judge, if the defense lawyer told the judge, I may have lost one witness, I may only have one witness, he wouldn't have said you're going to have a long day tomorrow. One witness probably wouldn't take, but two witnesses will take all day.
Yeah. On these expert witnesses, do you expect, assuming that doctors Resnick and Spinelli do testify, and someone is saying that CBS News is reporting that Spinelli would be the final witness, do you expect a long cross on these big witnesses? You typically see a long cross.
Well, you got to be really careful with an expert witness. It's one thing to cross-examine a layperson in a unskilled and untight cross, but if you start opening the door and let an expert give responses, and they're smart, they can sting you really badly. So I would think the prosecution better have answers. They've already deposed this person. They know their good and bad points. They better be very careful when they start opening the door, even with leading questions. That expert could sting them. Maybe the evidence that would not be relevant. So, because if they're going to testify, they're backing up their opinion, right? So they're not going to be made fools of in a courtroom.
Look at this. Off to lunch and a couple of cold beers from Christina. Canadian beer. What is it? Molson or
Molson Golden.
Molson. And what's the one? I had one when I was up in Moosehead. Moosehead is Canadian. Always amazing coverage. Thank you. What about Patrick Clancy, Tim? Now, there was reports that he was supposed to also come back as a defense witness, but it seems like he's dropped from the witness list and he's not coming back. Is anything to read into that?
Sure. Why would I call Patrick Clancy when the people on social media think he killed him? Why would I dispel that? Why don't I just let that linger out there as my plan B in my trial? Why call him?
Good point. Good point. Labatt's another Canadian beer. Labatt's. Moosehead is good beer. I used to drink that in college. Not a big beer drinker.
Hey, we did the Freedom Trail yesterday, Joel.
What's that?
The Freedom Trail, my sister and her husband.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, before the game.
Nice.
A lot of
who won the
history
game,
in
by the
Boston.
way? The Sox are playing pretty well now, aren't they?
They lost yesterday. The last 2 times I've gone, they've lost. My wife said I'm not allowed to go anymore.
Let me see here. So 11:28. Now this is crazy because now they've been on a break for like literally
almost
about an hour, if not more than an hour. Blatt's Cream Ale, another one of these Canadian beers. It's crazy. But it's been over an hour. The judge said that this was going to be a short break. I mean, it's also, he's got to know, Tim, that everyone is televising this. I mean, this is turned into, there we go. We get the little shake of the camera. I think we're going to come back right now.
He doesn't want to be Judge Ito, right?
Yeah, but he's turning into it, and he's got to know it's televised. Usually when we see a little camera quake, which we just saw, it means they're coming back, and I hope that they're going to come back here for 2 reasons. Number one, I got to make a quick run to the boys' room. That's selfishly. And number 2, they got to get this thing moving here.
Yeah.
Number 3, I might do we're going to try to do an earlier wrap-up show, maybe at 1 o'clock today, mainly because my kids got coach pitch tryout at 6 today. And since I run my own show, I'm not a prisoner of Fox News anymore. I can do what I want. So there.
Yeah.
Mary Dean says 3-ring circus here.
It is a 3-ring circus. You know, Judge Ito didn't get reelected after that trial.
Whatever happened to Judge? He's still alive, right? He didn't,
I think so, but he didn't get reelected. I can tell you that.
Yeah. It's weird. What do you do if you're Judge Ito the rest of your life? The only thing you're ever known for is kind of being the clown.
2 things. Remember the expensive chair he bought for the trial? He spent like $5,000 for a trial, a chair.
It's kind of worth it. It was a 9-month trial, I think.
It was, long trial.
I would have done it. Patrick Clancy, Tim said, some people out there thinks, there's conspiracy theories. I don't buy it. I don't think it's remotely true, but people out there are saying, well, he's responsible. And Tim was saying, if people out there think he's responsible, why would I call him to debunk that? Let the reasonable doubt spill out.
Let it fester. Let the jurors. Yeah. Why would I call the guy? Yeah. Because if you really thought he did it, would you call him as a witness? You probably wouldn't.
No. What about this, Tim? We always hear about sequestration.
And I'm not saying he did it. Trust me, I'm not. I'm not saying he did it all. I think it's a conspiracy theory. I think the Commonwealth and even the defense agree that she did it. So I'm not trying to pose that a question.
Yeah, even the Commonwealth has said it. But this jury should have 100% been sequestered. I mean, who gets sequestered these days, Tim? It feels like no jurors really get sequestered unless it's like some big federal trial with a terrorist or something. Something like along those lines.
They don't want to pay. It's a money issue. They don't want to pay the money. You gotta board these people up, put them in a hotel or wherever. That's not conducive here because you don't really have big hotels where you can put these 12 jurors and pay for them and do security over. It's a lot of money.
Here comes another camera quake. I hear audio. We're back.
This court is back in session. You may be seated.
1 hour.
Yep. short 1 hour break. I'm running to the boys' room real quick, Jimbo.
All right, Counsel, what I kind of wanted to do is at least have a preliminary discussion regarding instructions. And what I would generally do is after we have the discussion is then kind of distribute a draft to council so we could have a more focused charge conference next day or so. But I just kind of wanted to get everybody's thoughts or kind of suggestions that they would be seeking the court to instruct the jury on. So kind of what I'll be using will be the model jury instructions, generally the model jury instructions from the March 2026, the latest suggestions from the SJC. And so Commonwealth, let me kind of hear what your thoughts are, and then I'll hear from the defendant.
So for individual instructions, we have listed opinion testimony, prior inconsistent and prior consistent statements, redactions. I don't think there are too many, but there were some on the death certificates. Stipulations and consciousness of guilt instruction. In terms of what we're looking for for the charges, we'd be looking for an instruction on first and second, with the theories of first being both deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty. In terms of the criminal responsibility instruction, we're asking that the instruction regarding intoxication not be given, because from our perspective, there's been no evidence of intoxication by drugs and or alcohol during the killings. There's testimony, and I think there'll be more testimony about the defendant taking pills after killing the children, and before killing the children, she was on low-dose prescription 10 milligrams of amitriptyline that was recently increased to 20 milligrams, but there's no real evidence of whether or not she actually increased that dose. And then it was a low dose of trazodone and a low dose of, I believe, Valium. So those were prescribed medications that she had reported no side effects from, and I believe in the text with her mother, she said that she was still waiting to actually feel effects from those. So there's no evidence of intoxication from those drugs. And then the only intoxication potentially could be when she took pills after killing the children. And even those amounts from the toxicology are low-level amounts. So we're asking that the instruction on intoxication not be given.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask the defendant as well, because I did read through those. And I was trying to find the definition of intoxication as it applies in the homicide instructions. Most of the cases that I was able to find so far is the dealing with the OUI statute, Chapter 90, and trying to find the real definition in regards to that. Is it the Commonwealth's position that the intoxication is beyond what was the considered effect of the drugs? Because if you know what I'm saying, so if she takes, if a defendant, I don't mean to personalize it, if a defendant takes prescription drugs and it does create some effect, would that be considered intoxicated for the instruction?
I don't believe so. I think in the instructions it talks about having being intoxicated to the point where it affects your state of mind or ability to control yourself. I think intoxication, especially where there's not a specific definition given in the homicide instructions, I think you go to the general definition of intoxication, which would not just be taking medication as prescribed, but it would be over taking medication or combining with alcohol or other drugs. It's similar to the instructions in OUIs, operating under the influence of alcohol or drugs. I think you would have to go to that definition or to the general definition of intoxication if it's not specifically defined in the instructions. And I think the general definition of intoxication is taking some type of substance, either alcohol, drugs, medication, in excess, and to the point where it's affecting your ability to think and to act and to control your behavior.
All right. All right. Anything? So I've got opinion, prior, consistent, prior, inconsistent, redactions, stipulations, consciousness of guilt, first, second, extreme atrocity, deliberate premeditation, and the criminal responsibilities without the subparagraph or the paragraph regarding intoxication.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Reddington?
I don't know if the government has been listening to the same evidence in this case. This is clearly an involuntary intoxication defense, at least as far as the judge's charge to the jury, based upon the evidence that's been presented, whether or not it's what we would argue is the over prescription of the medications, whether or not it's the side effects of the medications, whether or not it's the titration or the termination or the immediate cessation of the medications against what normal medical advice would be. All of those factors contribute to the state of mind of Ms. Clancy that was expressed to a lot of people, family members, people that knew her. She had indicated, I think Your Honor knows the evidence, repeatedly indicated that she was affected by the benzos. She was felt that she was being addicted to the benzos, trying to get off the benzos. She indicated that the sertraline was obviously killing her as far as going from 25 to 50 milligrams, and then subsequent to that, when there's additional SSRIs prescribed. To suggest that there's no basis to give the jury the instruction, they may determine, based on the evidence, that is as a result of the involuntary intoxication from narcotics, not alcohol, obviously, from the prescribed narcotics, not illegal drugs. So from the prescription drugs, that's on all fours with a valid defense that they should be instructed as it relates to involuntary intoxication. I think it's the model jury instructions on criminal responsibility. Obviously, if there's any nuances that I would pick up, I would bring that to the court's attention. But I have tried murder case recently with the model jury instructions, and my memory is that I was pretty satisfied. It was Judge O'Shea, I think, actually in this courtroom a year ago, and I was satisfied with the instructions on lack of criminal responsibility. I would, at some point, ask the court to charge on involuntary manslaughter. I'd ask the court to charge on wanton conduct with a component of the impact of the intoxication. So you can't try this case in a vacuum. You can't present the case to the jury. I know the government would like to present the case only on cruelty and atrocity. They probably don't like the statute that allows a jury to determine the degree of murder, which would be first and second. But I think that the evidence is such that a jury should have the option of considering whether or not we're talking about involuntary manslaughter based upon the evidence that's permitted. So I would defer to the court on the instructions on cruelty and atrocity, premeditated malice aforethought, second degree malice. I would ask the court to consider instructing on involuntary intoxication, to consider on the involuntary manslaughter as a lesser offense, and anything else that I can think of. But right now, that's what I can think of.
All right. Yeah, counsel.
Thank you. Commonwealth did request first and second degree instructions. It's our position that involuntary manslaughter wouldn't apply here. The evidence is that there was a specific intent to cause the death. So there's nothing that I can think of in the involuntary instruction that would apply here. Going back to the intoxication just for a moment.
Sure.
All of the medications, most of the medications that defense counsel talked about that the defendant was having reactions to and side effects from were before her hospitalization at McLean Hospital, and she was weaned off of that last one, the Seroquel, that while she was in McLean Hospital, and then she was without those medications and they're out of her system for 3 weeks. and she's just on those other 3 medications. So the intoxication that matters is not what happened in the fall and before McLean, it's what happened on the day of the incident. It's similar if it's an OUI, it doesn't matter if you were drunk in November, it matters if you're drunk on the date of the incident. So what matters here is that January 24th, 2023, and those other drugs and the effects that they caused to her aren't relevant to what happened on that day, as they've been out of her system for at least 3 weeks at that point.
All right, so the Commonwealth's position would be that the relevant analysis is what she was taking on or around that January 24th?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, any other?
Yes.
Yeah, good, sure.
It occurred to me, again, as I said, it's only fresh in my mind from a case I had here last year. I know the model jury instructions indicate, and I'm trying to find it in here, that there's supposed to be consideration of a chalk for the court to write out the elements of the offense of first-degree murder, cruelty and atrocity, premeditated malice of forethought, etc. And I would ask that you not do that. I don't think that it's appropriate. I think it highlights, if you will, in simplistic terms, premeditated malice of forethought. I think you and I, we just had a murder case last year on another matter, and I mean, I heard your instructions. You're very forceful with the elements of the offense, and I just don't think we need to have this appendix or whatever you want to call it. And again, I did object to that with the Judge O'Shea. We did not submit the instruction list, cookbook, or whatever you want to call it, to the jury. So I think that the court's instructions would be sufficient. I would not want to have that chalk that is referenced in the model instructions. That's discretionary. It's not obligated. They just say that it might be helpful for the court to give the jury some type of a checklist. But I don't think we should reduce instructions on a murder case to a checklist. And I'm just afraid that what happens is that jurors then take the checklist, as it were, and they kind of look at it or consider it, and they just do exactly that. It's a checklist. So I would ask that you not do that.
All right, just so counsel, my general practice is not to have that kind of list.
I remember
I
that, yeah.
generally don't, but I also generally will provide a copy of the instructions to each juror. So they'll have their own full copy, and they can follow along, because the 3 of you know they're lengthy and kind of dry. So they'll have those with them. But I'll like I said, I generally don't do that chart. All right, so anything else in regards to the instructions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so my plan would be to have at least a rough draft available for counsel tomorrow. So you at least have that, and depending on the timing and where we go in regards to the actual closings, we'll have the opportunity for you to review those, go over the draft, and then any kind of objections or suggestions you want to make, we'll have a chance to do that. But so you'll have, again, it's a rough draft. That's all I can tell you, and nothing's in stone, but at least give you an idea kind of where I'm coming from.
Do you think, logistically, Your Honor, that with the presentation of Dr. Resnick and then the government having their 3 doctors, hopefully we finish the evidence tomorrow, we would be closing Monday?
I would expect either Monday or Tuesday. If the parties may need, I'll leave, we can talk about that. But, my old experience, there's been a lot of evidence and there's a lot of witnesses. And so if the parties feel that they need like a day to kind of marshal their thoughts, we could talk about that. So either probably Monday or Tuesday. We could talk about that tomorrow. All right. Anything else we need to address, you think?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And so tomorrow we'll be in recess until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Hopefully we'll start with Dr. Resnick and then, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. You just kind of looked at that. So that would be the thought, and then we'll just kind of go from there. If the defendant rests, the Commonwealth can then present their witnesses, and if it's not done by Friday, we go into Monday, and that may mean closings and charge on Tuesday.
Okay.
All right.
And Mr. Verino will be here, yes, to set up the Zoom.
So you're not going to trust me to set that up this time? I think that's a good
Or
move.
me.
All right. All right. So thank you, everyone. And so we'll be in recess until tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Court, all rise.
What a day. If you're just joining us, apologies, I have a mint in my mouth, which will be gone in a moment. But court was supposed to start at 9. It's typically delayed 15, 20 minutes on a good day. Today, court didn't start till well after 10. The first and only witness was a female chaplain from the Brigham, which is a hospital Lindsay was at. We learned during that testimony that Lindsay said to her after the killings, she says, "I'm glad my children are safe." An odd comment to make unless you're delusional or mentally unwell. The chaplain says to her, they are now safe with God, and talks about how they pray together. And then the witness is cross-examined a little bit, and it turns out she never took any actual notes and on a voice being heard, but there were copious other notes taken. So now you got to wonder, why are there not notes taken on this voice? Why do we only learn about this voice after the fact? As a juror, that's making me wonder and second guess and question what is going on. Then we're supposed to get a couple of major witnesses. By the way, before the chaplain took the stand and there was that hour delay, we got word that jurors were individually being sworn in at the bench by the judge to answer questions. So something happened with these jurors. What? We don't know. The chaplain takes the stand, and then we're told that there's something going on. There'll be a short break. They come back. It looks like there's no witness. The jurors are excused for the day. And then the judge says we're going to go on another short break, which is then an hour later he comes back, and they literally just went over some of the framework of the instructions. One of the issues relates to the definition of intoxication or the use of intoxication. And Reddington gets up there. That was raised by the Commonwealth. And then when he gets up, he says it was clearly an involuntary intoxication. The judge explained that he needs to figure out the definition of intoxication as it pertains to a murder charge, and that the judge said he would have a rough draft of instructions tomorrow, and underscored a couple times that would be a rough draft. So from what I'm hearing now and seeing on the cesspool that is X, formerly Twitter, is that Philip Resnick, who is this expert witness in malingering and maternity health issues, he is going to be testifying via Zoom. And we saw that with La Posada, the forensic pathologist. And that was a little bit of a disaster. They couldn't get the tech working. Dr. Resnick is 86 years old. I don't want to incriminate people over the age of 85, but Carm sometimes has trouble with Zoom. Hopefully there will be no trouble tomorrow at all, but Philip Resnick is apparently going to take the stand via Zoom. And then the final in-person witness will be Margaret Spinelli, another well-known name in the field of maternal mental health. And then the defense indicates that they're going to rest. So then they jump to closings, and I'm not sure how this is going to happen unless these are very short cross-examinations, because the Commonwealth said that they are going to bring a rebuttal case with witnesses. It seems like all of this is going to happen tomorrow, maybe into Monday, because they all agreed that closings are going to be Monday or Tuesday. So for closings to be Monday or Tuesday and tomorrow is Friday, if you involve logic, that means that everything has to be done tomorrow in terms of witnesses and a Commonwealth rebuttal, or at the very latest on Monday. So what I'm gleaning from this is the Commonwealth rebuttal is going to obviously be fairly terse, not too long. Can't be calling too many witnesses because it's all going to get done either tomorrow or Monday, and then closings, and then verdict watch. The question is, do I go up Sunday? I'm on the fence. If I wasn't going to cover another trial basically right after this, then I would probably almost definitely say yes. I'll discuss it with the COE, and we will figure it out. Big shout out to Tim Jansen, best guest as usual. He was here, obviously no longer here in the chat, but somewhere, and doing well. And there we go. Let me just pop this off the screen. So we are trying to organize a day 17 sort of wrap-up show, and I need to touch base with Steve Cohen on that. It's either going to be, I believe, at 1 p.m. Eastern in an hour and 8 minutes, or at 3 p.m. Eastern, and it's sounding now more like 3 p.m. Eastern because we've got our own expert witnesses, otherwise known as our best guests, and we've got to give them a little bit of notice. So real quick before we go here, thank you to Nikki Cudd saying this has been great coverage. It's been unusual coverage, I think, because I'm kind of a strange dude, but I don't know how great it's been, but I appreciate it. What are your final thoughts? Let me know in the chat. Is this a wacky trial? Is it too delayed? I'll take some final comments and thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up. If you want to know exactly what time, here we go. People weighing in. 3 o'clock, please. I need to go run errands. GNTJ's mom, James Fagan, 3 works better. Let me text Steve Cohen right now. Come into the chat. Let me know your final thoughts. It can be about anything. We started the day talking about Billy Bob Thornton and why the women love him. We talk about it all here at STS. One sec as I text Steve Cohen. There you go. Texted Steve Cohen. All right, Elizabeth here. Hate all the breaks. Hate all the breaks. Look at this, Lionheart. Welcome. I've enjoyed my first full day here with STS. A little bit of an odd day. Love lions. Love that kitty cat. And welcome. Hope you're here many more days. Final thoughts from Mayor. I need this trial to end. It does feel like there's one more big something coming with this trial, that we're not out of the woods yet. What that is, I don't know. Will it be that maybe it's a mistrial? Maybe. Does Walter Cronkite know what it is? I don't know. Maybe he does. Ellie Modoc, who loves elephants, and it appears Rottweilers. What a handsome dog. I'd like to scratch that dog's chin. The trials on life support, pull the plug. We needed Georgia Kappelman from America's Favorite Troll, Solicitor Randolph. I don't like trolls except for Solicitor Randolph. I actually don't mind trolls. Lisa, just probably checking in. No court today? Lisa, it's a long story. You got to go back and rewind this, I think, because it's too exhausting for me to go through. But the short of it is that there was one witness and a lot of breaks, and court is resuming tomorrow, and it's now over today. Touche. Great coverage. Thank you, Joel. You the best. Thank you. Thank you for that. How are the dogs doing? I feel like I could give you a very long answer. The short of it is they're doing well. Fred appears to hate Mike. Mike appears to be obsessed with Fred, and that's a problem, especially because now Fred is wearing a little belly band because of his marking, and Mike thinks it's funny to try to rip it off him. And one is a baby, and Fred yelps in a high pitch when he's being attacked by Mike, and it is a never-ending circle of insanity. That is my life. And it's just so much quieter here than it is in my house. But we have Fred used to be in the SHU, the solitary housing unit. Mike had like a plastic open crate, and he figured out how to destroy it. And so we had to bring Fred's old SHU, the solitary housing unit, out from under the bed. And that is now where Mike is living. He is confined to the SHU at night because, like I said, he attacks Fred incessantly. And he goes, I give him a chance. I'm like, Mike, you're being released from the SHU. You're going to be in the yard for a little bit. However, if you try to shank Fred or any funny business, he also tries to mount Fred for domination, no other purpose. But I'm like, you're going to be released into the yard for a couple minutes. But if I see bad behavior and you cannot coexist in the yard, which is our house, with Fred, you're going back into the SHU. And after 1 second, he doesn't leave Fred alone. Fred's yelping, and now Fred is literally sitting on my head to avoid Mike. Mike goes right back in the SHU. That's what we're doing. Mike is definitely more of the alpha than Fred. I mean, ironically, Ethel is the pack leader here. When we go on walks, Ethel is leading the way. But Mike, 100%, is way more alpha. Mike's a pain in the ass, man. And I thought Fred was like food motivated. Mike, when I feed Ethel outside, because Ethel does not like to be bothered when she's eating, and somehow Mike is able to go the distance of the hallway and get outside. And when I lift him up to get him away from the food, he turns into Cujo. Turns right into Cujo. And he's becomes violent and crazy. It's like Hannibal Lecter. I got to restrain Mike like Hannibal Lecter. He needs a muzzle and like one of those face masks. He's a terror, that guy. He looks cute. Am I supposed? I guess this is true. I'm supposed to lead, I guess. Good point. All right, so we are going to do a wrap-up show, and in order to find out what time that wrap-up show is, you're going to have to follow me on social. You see how this works. So on Twitter, once again, it is at Podcast STS. On Instagram, Surviving the Survivor, and we're on the TikTok at Surviving the Survivor. So I think we're going to do a 3 p.m. show. That's what we're looking to do. Mike is in the hole. Hopefully the COE is home, so he's been let out of the hole for a little bit. Someone is saying just one expert witness that will be on the stand tomorrow. I don't know where people are getting this from. I'm obviously hosting this right now, so I don't know for sure. I've heard 2 expert witnesses tomorrow, but keep in mind the Commonwealth has got to come back and give a rebuttal case. I mean, is their rebuttal case going to be we don't agree with anything the defense said and then they rest? Because it sounds like it's going to be very short. But we're going to find out tomorrow. Closings are going to be Monday or Tuesday. If they're Tuesday, is it worth it for me to go up there for closing arguments? I'm going to have that discussion with the COE. We'll see. We'll be back here at probably 3 p.m. Eastern, 3 hours from now. So run your errands. Again, if you're just catching up, you just missed day 17 of testimony, which lasted under 30 minutes. It was the chaplain from the Brigham, a female chaplain, who said that Lindsay told her that her kids are safe now after the killings. And the chaplain seemed to not know really what to say other than they're safe because they were with God. They prayed together. And then the Commonwealth got up and said, if she heard this male voice, which the chaplain said, how come you did not put it in your copious notes, which the chaplain didn't really have an answer to. And it's kind of one of those things that makes you wonder what really happened. And if so, why didn't she take a note on that? Because it seems like among the many other notes, that would have been important to put in there. So come back 3 o'clock Eastern time. We should have a full wrap-up show. Love you, America. Love you, Plymouth, Massachusetts. and justice for Cora, Dawson, and Callan. See you in a little bit.